Very good morning, everybody. Today is the fourth day of our presentations. Semester 2 students are making their presentations. Today we will have it on Indian and Western literary theory and criticism. But before we see the list of the students and their topics, let us overview the things that the students are supposed to do along with making the presentations. They are supposed to do peer and self-evaluation also in this form in an online mode. And in case there are any mistakes or errors, they are supposed to edit the form, and it is recorded in this manner. So as a teacher, we have to tally that every day evening properly the assessment work is submitted or not by all the students. And if there is any late submission, then again it wastes our time. You can see in the sheet that we have to differentiate morning and afternoon session. So if you do not do your work, then it multiplies our work unnecessarily. We use technology to see that our work is reduced and our output is better. But if collectively we do not do the work properly, then our work multiplies unnecessarily. And when you edit the form, we can see this black color mark, and when I put a cursor there, we can see responder updated his value. So editing is what we allow. So once you edit, like yesterday, Trupti forgot to select the paper, American literature, so that was blank. And even if that is not done properly, then in this you see here that we do not get equal weightage. 3 papers are completed. You have given evaluation in 3 papers, and it is exactly 33.3%. If even one student is not selecting paper properly, then also the pie chart looks very distorted one, and it becomes unreliable data if things are not done properly. So this we need to see. First day I also suggested that if you have done under evaluation, then again you can rectify it. You can edit and rectify, but that is not done, I think. So Gujarati ma pachu yaad karavi do કે તમે કઈ માર્કિંગ આપ્યું હોય અને પછી એ બરાબર ન લાગે, ફરી જોતા તમે માર્કિંગ આપીને પછી ઈમેલ જોતા હશો અને નહીં જોવો અને ગફલત કરશો તો કાલે ભૂલ થાય એવી થશે જ. ગેરંટી. Today nowadays people sell lots of this guarantee. So આ પણ મારી ગેરંટી છે કે જો તમે બરાબર એક પણ સ્ટેપ ભૂલશો એટલે ભૂલ થશે. And when you will see that, you will get the chance to edit also. Edit button એ આવશે ત્યાં, અને એડિટ કરીને તમે એ માર્ક્સને એને સુધારી શકો. અને તમે એ કરો ત્યારે આ રીતે એક નાનકડું બ્લેક ડોટ દ્વારા અમને જાણ પણ થાય કે આ વેલ્યુ એડિટ થઈ છે. એ નથી થતું તો વેલ્યુ એડિટ થતી નથી. એટલે અમે જે વાત કરી એ પેલા પથ્થર ઉપર પાણી ઢોળાયું હોય ને પછી તરત સુકાઈ જાય એમ, યા તો સુકાઈ ગયું અથવા ભગવાને કાન 2 લાઈનમાં આપ્યા છે એનો આપણે સદુપયોગ કર્યો કે આ કાનેથી આવ્યું આ કાનેથી ગયું. આપણે કઈ એને દરકાર કરવાની ન હોય. તો સાહેબ તો કીધા કરે નવરા છે એટલે ના બધું શું છે, આપણે તો ઘણા બધા કામ હોય એટલે એ બધી વસ્તુ કઈ આપણે ધ્યાને લેવાની ના હોય. એટલે એમ તમે કર્યું હશે એવું હું સ્વીકારું. કદાચ તમારા માટે બધી વાતો ફાલતુ વાતો હશે એટલે તમે એક કાનેથી આવીને બીજા કાનેથી એને જવા દો. Otherwise we can come to know this is how technology helps in seeing the behavior of people. આપણી બિહેવિયરલ પેટર્ન કેવી છે એ આપણને આ ટેકનોલોજીથી ખ્યાલ આવે, નહીતર આ બધી વસ્તુ આપણે પકડી ન શકીએ. આપણને એમ થાય કે લોકોને આપણે કહ્યું છે એટલે સમજી ગયા હશે ને એણે એનું વર્તન સુધારી લીધું હશે, તો એમ ન કર્યું હોય એ આપણને ટેકનોલોજી બતાવી શકે. So that way we can see this way it helps us in looking at the values and other things that are submitted. This is how we get the charts also of whatever submission is done. You also can keep on looking at that and see how you are evaluated by your group, and wherever you need to improve your performance, that also you can keep on doing that. Along with this, the another thing that needs to be shared is about yesterday we also sent this letters to the absentees, also those who are absent. So right from the beginning we keep on telling all of you that you have as per UGC rules 90 days of attendance is necessary. And the term is of 90 days only, one term, and two terms are of 180 days. So out of 365 days, which we have in a year, only 180 days we have to study. It is not a great many things that we are doing. We may feel that, oh, કેટલું બધું કામ કરીએ છીએ, પણ એટલું બધું કઈ આપણે કામ કરતા હોતા નથી. 50% દિવસો જ ભણવાના હોય છે આખા વર્ષના. અને એમાં પણ આપણે જોઈએ કાઉન્ટ કરીએ ત્યારે કેટલા દિવસ ખરેખર થાય છે. How many days actually we study, that you have to count. So 80% attendance is necessary according to the rule of our university. So 80 means 72 days you have to see that you should remain present. 72 days out of 90. So then you cross the border mark of attendance. So if it is less than that, we will have to remind you at the end of the semester to your parents also that the attendance of the your child is lesser than required. So that in case if something happens later on, if university takes stern step or some strict rules are imposed by UGC, or some RTI happens about any other thing, and university strictly tells that only those whose attendance are full, they can appear in the exam, or even if they have appeared in the exam, their results will be withheld because their attendance is not proper, their term cannot be granted. Or later on, after 3, 4, 5 years also, if some RTI happens and university tells you that your term was not granted because your attendance was low, so you have to submit your mark sheet. All these things may happen, and it's happening also. It is not that I'm just telling you things out of imagination, but these things are happening, and many students' mark sheets are taken back also. PhD degrees are also taken back on those grounds. So if you think that I will pass, get my mark sheet, I will go. It doesn't mean you will be able to go anywhere. If you will do anything based on MA mark sheet or any such mark sheet where you have not fulfilled the basic rules or criteria, anything may happen. We don't say that it will happen, but it may happen also. So in that case, parents may come and tell that if our children's attendance was not proper, then why have you not informed us? So as per the record available of attendance, we will see only the attendance record where you are supposed to mark your days. Based on that, wherever the attendance is low, we will send letters to those parents to inform them that this is the condition there. We normally do not like to stop anybody's career or to disturb the thing, but if there are external forces which operate and they force us to do the thing, then we are helpless. If there are RTIs, then about attendance muster, we'll have to make photocopy of whatever is available and send to them. We can't manipulate the data. And you yourself has written number of days, your attendance is marked by you only. So you won't be able to escape that I was present, but teacher marked absent. Or I was 2 minutes late, or this or that you can't give because you yourself are maintaining your records also. So in that case, you have to be very careful. The another thing that as soon as this happens, that some people are sent letters, other thing, they will come and start excusing that this person also was not coming and that person also was not coming. So even if you have marked and you have not received the letter because your attendance may be full, but in case you have marked the attendance in a wrong manner, remember that your friends are aware about it. Your classmates are aware about it. If they will complain, then we have to take steps against you also. If they will complain, we will ask for a proof also. But if they will be able to give proof and say that the students were absent and yet the attendance are visible here. Maybe you might have posted something on Instagram or your WhatsApp story on a particular day. You were at seashore or having some picnic somewhere, and somebody has taken the screenshot. And here also next day you have come and signed it, or in advance you have signed and gone, and the next day you have not come. Then if the proof is presented, then the strict action may be taken against you also. But remember, if somebody will complain, then we will do that. We will not initiate those things. And who will complain? Your classmates will complain. So they know it very well about you. So yesterday many started coming and telling also about other people. So we told that, well, you don't see what others are doing. You see your attendance. Why your attendance is low? Why you have not marked the day or attendance properly when you were present in the department? That is a major concern. Randomly we may take attendance on any of the day. Every day we do not get time to take attendance regularly. because you are all PG students and we rely on you that you will have honesty, at least up to that you will do the things in a proper manner. Though in one of the random things we have identified that Vishwa has signed in advance and left also, so we have marked that also, but we forgot to inform her then that in the class when the attendance was taken, your attendance was there, but you were not there in the class. So those things, if you are present, you come to know that this is the wrong practice. But if you are absent, then you don't know that this is the wrong practice. You may not be knowing if nobody has told you that today you were remembered in the class for this reason, not for a good reason, but for such a bad reason. You were remembered. If your classmate tells you, then it is good, but if nobody is telling you, then you don't know that this way things have happened also. But next semester also, 2 semesters still you have, and this is what you have to keep on telling to your other batches also. Juniors will come, you will be leading them. So whatever best way you will be doing, they will be learning from you. If you will be doing malpractice, they'll be learning malpractice also, and then they will tell that our seniors were doing like this, so we were doing that thing. So we have to again tell that rules are rules. Whatever people do, that doesn't become a rule. Practice doesn't become a rule. Practices may be wrong, but what are the rules that we should know, and we have to follow the rules. And normally we tell that during our classroom session that these are the rules and you have to follow those things also. So today also we give a reminder and we record this also in the live, so later on you can watch this also. If you forget, then you can watch this initial part of today's live session and recall, or you can just give this link to your juniors later on, that these are the rules. So you better watch this video and see that you have to maintain your attendance record properly every time. Okay, so let us have a look at the topics which we are going to have as a presentation today. Okay, so today we will start with Kavita's presentation on 9 emotional states of Indian Rasa theory. Nanda's presentation will be on symphonic elegance, deciphering Alankar theories, melodic language. Followed by Vishwas on exploring the evaluation of Indian poetics from ancient text. I think T is missing, the text to contemporary voices. Heralds on from epic to action, decoding Mahabharat in Bahubali. Akshay's on the archetypes of Greek and Hindu mythologies. Kusum on character archetypes by Carl Jung. Darshan on connected minds, exploring the concept of collective consciousness. Jai Marunya on scapegoat as an archetype in literature. Bhumibaz on from loss to legacy, the orphan hero archetype in fictional narratives. Akash on exploring archetypal themes in Game of Thrones. Hardi on the evolution of submissive female archetypes in media. Maya on I.A. Richards as a critic. Jaysri's on exploring figurative language in Richards' practical criticism. And the last one will be by Dhatri on decoding the tweet, practical criticism in the age of hashtag and emojis. Okay, so let us start with the first presentation.
the presentation of topic the 9 emotional state of Indian Rasa theory. It's my academic information. Start with the content of table. In my presentation, I will deal with the topic introduction, Indian Rasa theory, 9 emotional state of Rasa, conclusion and references. To start with introduction. The Indian Rasa theory introduced the 9 emotional states that form the core of classical Indian performing arts. These states include Shungar, Hasya, Karuna, Rodra, Veera, Bhayanaka, Vibhasya, Adbhut, and Shant. This theory explores how various emotions are evoked in the audience through different artistic exploration and the aesthetic over that electric specific feeling in the viewers. Additionally, the integrate of the 9 rasa combined principle from Bharat Rasashastra. Rasa in Indian performing art is a profound emotional experience that resulted with each factor as described in ancient Sanskrit texts like the Natyashastra. Indian Rasa theory. The origin of Rasa theory is the 6th chapter Natyashastra, the Rasa Shastra. Bharat right is a slok like a bhavanu anubhava vyabhichara sayoga ras nishpati. This sutra means that is the aesthetic pleasure of emotion happened by the integrate of 3 emotional like vibhav, anubhav and vyabhichari bhav. Now discuss about the Indian system of classification of emotion. The Ras theory was Indian according to the Natyashastra. The Indian Ras theory, the classification of emotional states come from the Natyashastra. The ancient Indian state on the performing art and 2nd century AD, the Natyashastra speak about the rasa, which are produced the certain dominant state like a sthai bhav, vibhav, vyabhichari bhav, and like a temporary state and sattvic bhav. The 3 stage of bhav is like sthai bhav is the dominant stage of mind, and vyabhichari bhav is the temporary state of mind. That vyabhichari bhav is like come in sometime and that go in take time and after go. And sattvic bhav is a sattvic bhav, and of emotional come together. This Ras theory, which is still widely followed in a classical Indian performing art, classify the 8 rasa by Bharat Natyashastra and compound of the 9 rasa was later integrated by the KHUSHI Abhinavgupta. In Natyashastra, Bharat was given the only 9 ras, and after the century, Abhinavgupta was include the 1 ras is a Shantras. 9 emotional state of rasa. Now I am talk about the presentation of 9 emotional state of the rasa in a Indian point of view. The Shungar is the emotional state is Rati, and Hasya was Hasa, and Karuna was Shok. Rodra is a Krodh, Veera was a Utsav, Bhayanak was a Bhaya, Vibhasa is a Jupuksa, Adbhut was a Vishmay, and Shanta was Niro and Sham. This slok in the Indian poetic and book like mentioned this Shungar Karuna Veera Rodra Hasya Bhayanaka Vibhasya Bhuta Shanta Navanatya Rasa Smrita. Now start with the first ras of a Shungar rasa. In the Sanskrit word, Shringar means love, romance, beauty. That emotional state Shringar is heroic, dominant state of love. Their horizon zone is the eyes, eyebrow cleverly moment and smiling. That eyes clan type was the rising eyebrow and looking out of the corner of the eyes. It frees to ego and content to us devotion. That also the picture was conveyed the Shungaras, how to the picture's emotion and that facial expression to give the Ras theory, and Shungaras also mentioned by these pictures. Second is Hasyaras. Hasya is one of the most pleasant rus. Hasya means laughter. An emotional state was the comic dominating state if you meet. And a facial zone is lips, nose, cheek, eyes, and teeth conveying smile, motoring laugh or excited laughter. Eyes client's type is a fluttering and pleasant, twinning eyes. Also, this picture was conveyed by the how to facial experience like eyebrow and lips, like cheeks, and that every facial organ to how to help to express the Hasiras. Karun Ras. Emotional state was a pathogenic dominant state is sorrow. The Karun was a rust of the sorrow and sadness, and facial zone was eyes, with and without shedding tearing, and mouth, and a type of downcast glasses, and half diverted with tears. And that picture was also conveyed the Karun dress is like and tearing, and something is like sad thing, and how to people all see our face, and they are also see like she was sad, and she was sort of feeling by our facial expressions. Fourth is Rodra Ras. Emotional state is Rodra. Furious dominant state is anger. And facial zone eyes red, eyebrow, knitting eyebrow, and lips beating of lips, cheeks. Eye glance type of pupil to fix and the lid not move. The brow control and rise. This picture is also conveyed the others like eyes was like a big and that red shining eyes, and our facial expression nothing is like a state, and how to create is rather virus. That dominant state of fear is heroic, and dominant state is energy, and facial zone is eyes, radiation direct, open, rather majestic and self-controlled. As claim type is the people as rest. This virus like is like energetic and convey through the facial expression is like how the is ego free, but is like a self respect and control ourself is the facial and the body language through the how our virus to say, and throughout our body and facial expression in the virus. Bhayanak Ras. The emotional state, Bhayanak is a tribal dominant state, is terror. Facial zone, mouth and eyes. Glaze type. The eyes slide and rise and fix. The pupil rise in the fluttering. That the picture also conveys that how eyes and mouth is like eyebrow, and they just posture our like lips and mouth. Mouth is conveyed by the something is like happen in the immediately we are afraid and like a fear that our expression through the people no, she is like with fear and not Vibhastya. That emotional state is Vibhastya. Odious and dominant state is disgust. And facial zone is mouth and eyes narrowed down. Eyes glance type, no basically glance mentioned. As a picture also conveys like Vibhastya like is disgust. How we are not like a sorrow, and we are not like a sad thing and anger thing, the mixture of the both like or not we are not like the thing to given a display, given is like a displeasure. Adbhut Ras, emotional state is marvelous dominance, and the admonishment. Facial zone is eyes widely open, and eyes gland type is quietly rise and strike rising starting. That Adbhut Ras is like conveys like some fantastic and marvelous thing do happen, and we are immediately express our feeling and thoughts. Is like our facial expression is like mouth and eyes like word like a wow, that thing is amazing. Is our eyes and facial expression convey with the Adbhut Ras. And ninth was Chandras. It not in the Natyashastra, but after the century given by the Anand Gupta, was the emotional step is peace, facial zone of the eyes, the peaceful glance of the displeasure, and not mentioned by the Bharat, but mentioned Abhinav Gupta. Eyes glass type of gradually closing lid, the eyes sliding move and pupil moving of the corner. That like peaceful in our mind, and that no it's like a facial expression is like a stay, and our like sometimes eyes like open and close. Rasa theory. Flow relish is the sea and fruit of the arts. In conclusion, the nine rasa in Indian classical art, ranging from the love to peace, evoke diverse emotion and adding artistic expression by incorporating introspected and detachment. This rasa is captivity audience and adding depth to cultural creativity and the artistic experience. Understanding this emotional state inherits the appreciation of Indian classical performing arts. This is my references. Thank you. Now, if you have a question, just ask me.
Kavita, my question is for you. Can you identify Navrasa in contemporary Indian literature or cinema?
Yes. Navras in contemporary Indian literature and cinema. First of the nine ras is the Shungar. Shungar ras was expressed in the cinema is like Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. It's like love and beauty and like a love story that express the Shungar ras with and Karun ras. Second is Karun ras. Second was Hasyaras. Was cinema is the movie is like Three Idiots and Hera Fairy. That comic relief and witty dialogues was through the Hasyaras expressed. Karun Ras was expressed in the film like Dear Zindagi and Dear Zindagi, and also literary Indian literature work is like namesake by the Jhumpa Lahiri, and Rodra was like a movie like Article 15. Also is conveys societal issues and feeling to by injustice of the movie is like express the Rodra and. Adbhut Ras was also conveyed in movie like Bahubali and Padmavat. It's like imagery and marvelous things like beauty and images like fragmenting is that a thing also conveys like Bahubali movies like imagination of like a thing and beauty convey is Adbhut Ras and Vibhasyaras was also like movie like Udta Punjab was convey through the movie is the Vibhasyaras and Bhayanak Ras was also convey like movie is like Pari and the Peace and Shantras was also convey the movie by like peace and mental peace will evoke through the movies like a Piku. That's in the cinema.
So, Kavita, my question is that can you identify the examples of Hasya, laughter in ancient Indian literature, and how do they compare to a modern day comedy?
Sure. identify example of Hasyaras in ancient Indian literature and modern literature. Indian literature, Indian ancient Indian literature like a story like a Panchatantra and like animal and human connection like clever rabbit and lion story and through the humor too, but also the given aim of and the end of the story of message through the human and modern literature also the is like stand-up comedy and different type of laughing classes and TV serials also that compare is like Asian story is also conveyed by the animal and it's like Panchamved and rabbit story and everything is and modern story is also conveyed like relative to the contemporary situation is like particular and satire on satire through the wit and humor as by the modern comedy. That's thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Natyashastra and today's my topic name is Symphonic Elegance, Describing Alankar Theory's Melodic Language. This is my personal information, table of contents. Now the introduction, starting with, since the days of Bharata's Muni, Natyashastra till the 7th century Rasa schools in Indian poetics prevailed, but in the 7th century, A.D. Brahma introduced Alankar schools, which testifies to the Indian analytical mind. Etymologically, the word Alankara is Saundarya, meaning thereby Alam Karota iti Alankara. This device of Alankara was called rhetoric. He was one of the top critics in the Sanskrit language, and he believed to contemporaries with Dandi. His important works is Kavya Chakra. This is also called Bhama Chakra by few. There are 6 chapters in this, and the third with Alankara. First, what is the Alankara theory? In Hindu poetry, Alankar means that in ornaments and adornments. And Alankar means that ornaments, and it is primarily used to enhance beauty of a poem and kavyas. In literature, Alankar is a figure of speech. Alankar, earliest and most sustained school, it studies literary language and assumes that the focus of literariness is the figure of speech and the mode of figurative expressions in the grammatical accuracy, pleasantness of sound. This does not mean that meaning is ignored. In fact, structural taxonomies of different figures of speech are models of how meaning is recognized and how it is to be extracted from the text. Now, the different views on Alankara. Anandvardhan says that when Alankara are used judiciously, there are soul of poetry. And Abhinav Gupta also believed that Alankaras are soul of poetry and not mere external. Mere thoughts and the emotional makes only philosophy. They become a poetry, only philosophy. They become poetry only when they are embellished by use of Alankars. An important aspect of poetry is that it is charming and beautiful. Alankaras allow poetry to express idea in a different manner from the ordinary use of language. When the figures of speech are directly expressed, they are like ornaments worn over body. But When they are indirectly expressed or suggest, they make a poetry even more beautiful and become a soul of poetry. The great scholar Dandi has uses the term Alankar in the sense that causes beauty in poetry, and he writes that thought. Vaman stated that poetry is acceptable from the embellishment Alankara, but he is care to explain embellishment, not the narrow sense of poetic figures, but the broad sense of beauty. And he says the kavyam gruhyam alamkara saundaryam alankara. And this is Boj, which is classified to alankara into three parts. Now the types of alankar. Rudrata was divided into alankara into two types, Shabda alankar and Artha alankar. Now, Mohammed is in his Kavya Prakashana enumerated 61 alankars and groups them into the 7 types for simile, metaphor, indirect description, stringed figures, disunited, contradiction, and concatenation. First, 2 types in Shabda Alankar. In these 3 examples, Anupras, alliterations, when a constant word repeats serially more than once, and the yamak in when some word repeats more than once, but each time its meaning it's different, and the slash when some same word repeat more than once, but each time its meaning is different. And the Artha Alankar in 2 types, most for example, for simile and metaphor. Conclusion: Alankar theory stands as a testament to the analytical prowess of Indian literary minds, offering a framework for understanding and appreciating the beauty of poetic language. Through the skillful use of figures of speech, poets adorn their works with a layer of meaning and creating evocative and impactful works of art. As we delve deeper into the realm of Alankar theory, let us continue to explore and celebrate the symphonic elegance of Indian poetry. These are my references. Thank you.
Nanda, my question is for you. Vamana said that Alankar borders on the sense of beauty. Shall we compare it with the aesthetic school of English literature?
Aesthetic school and aesthetic schools of English literature and also Vamana, both main intention to poetry to make beautiful and make maintains to verses, and that's so compared with aesthetics and English literature. So both views most not only intellectual to beautiful, but both way to same to poetry make beautiful. Another.
So Nanda, my question is, can you discuss the role of Alankar in shaping the emotional and psychological impact of the poetry on the reader?
Alankar's significant role of in the shaping emotional psychological impact of poetry on readers, because Alankar's main reason means to such as poetry to make beautifully and emotion when readers when reading or showing images to at that time his emotions and senses to connected with this poem, so that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. For the presentation, I am going to exploring the evolution of Indian poetics from ancient text to the contemporary voice. Table of contents. First, introduction of Indian literature. Indian literature writings to the Indian subconscious produced therein a variety of vernacular languages, include Sanskrit, Prakrit, Pali, Bengali, Bihari, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Malayalam, Oriya, others as well as in English. The term Indian literature is used to refer to literature produced across the Indian subconscious period to the creation of the Republic of India in 1947 and within the Republic of India after 1947. The earliest Indian literature took the form of conscious Hindus' scared writing known as the Veda, which were written in Sanskrit. To the Veda were added prose contemporary such as the Brahmans and the Upanishad. The literary of those languages depended largely on the ancient Indian background, which include two Sanskrit epic poems, the Mahabharata and Ramayana, as well as the Bhagavad Puran and the other Purans. In addition, the Sanskrit philosophies were the source of psychological writing, philosophical writing in the latter literature, and the Sanskrit schools of rhetoric were of great importance for the development of court poetry in many of the modern literature. The South Indian language of Tamil is an exceptions of this pattern of Sanskrit influence because it had a classic traditions of its own. Urdu and Sindhi are other exceptions. Beginning in the 19th century, particularly during the height of British control over the subconscious, Western literature models had an impact on Indian literature. The most striking result being the introduction of the use on vernacular prose on the major scale. Such form as the novel and short story began to be adopted by Indian writers, as did realism and interest in social questions and psychological deception. Traditional of literature in English was also established in the subconscious. Introduction of Indian poetics. Indian poetics, known as Alankar-shastra in Sanskrit, is a rich and ancient tradition that dates back thousands of years. Encompasses various aspects of literary theory, include the study of aesthetics, rhetoric, metrics, and poetics. The foundational text of Indian poetics is the Natyashastra, attribute the Sage Bharata, which not only discuss drama but also provide instinct into poetry and aesthetics. Indian poetics emphasize the importance of emotions, aesthetics, experience, and literary ornamentation in the creating impactful poetry. Key concepts include the 9 emotions, the 4 types of audience, and the various figures of speech used to embellish poetic expressions. So, through its intricate theories and principles, Indian poetics has had a profound influence on the development of literature and culture in the Indian subconscious. Earlier development of Sanskrit poetics. To understand the evolution of Sanskrit poetics, we must first explore its early origin. Sanskrit poetics trace its root back to the Vedas and the ancient sacred text of Hinduism. These hymns, composed in Vedic Sanskrit, were primarily changed during religious rituals. Kalidas and his contributions to Sanskrit poetics, one of the most influential figure in the evolutions of Sanskrit poetics is Kalidas. Born in the 14th century, Kalidas, the works continue to captivate readers with their lyrical beauty and profound insights. His plays such as Abhijnana Shakuntalam and Shakuntala are considered masterpieces of Sanskrit literature. This Shlok is a most famous Sanskrit writer. Upma Kalidasasya Bharavertha Gauravam Dandinam Padalalityam Mago Sanitra Yoguna. The smile belonged to Kalidas, and Bharvi used the perfect word. Dandi is a musical like no one else, but Megha is the master of all three. Bhartihari and his theory of Sanskrit poetics moving forward in time, we encounter Bhartihari, a philosopher, poet who explored the deep emotions and complexities of human existence. Bhartihari's theory on Sanskrit poetics, particularly his work Vakrokti, or words in sentence, offered a fresh perspective on language and its relationship of poetry. In Vakrokti, Bhartihari focused on the concept of SODHA and the linguistic unit to represent the holistic meaning of a sentence. He argued that the meaning of a sentence is not derived from individual words but from the entire sentence as a whole. Their theory revolutionized Sanskrit poetics and had a profound impact on subsequent generations of poets and scholars. Over time, Sanskrit poetry involved from religious hymns to more secular form of expressions. These transitions can be seen in the work of earlier poets like Valmiki, who composed the epic poem Ramayana, and Vyas, the author of epic Mahabharata. The poets used sophisticated language and poetics device to convey their narrative and explore the complexities of human existence. The influence of Sanskrit poetics on other Indian language, Sanskrit poetics extend beyond the realm of Sanskrit literature, as Sanskrit was language of scholar and intellectual in ancient India. Its poetic tradition and theory influenced the development of poetry in other Indian language. The medieval age. Foundation of medieval Indian literature, 16th century to 1700th century. Medieval Indian literature began from 17th century when Alvars and Nayanmars, a group of devotional poets, appeared in South India. These devotional poets developed literature completely different from classical literature in Sanskrit and Tamil. We can divide medieval age in Indian literature into major phases. Early medieval Indian literature that was produced between 17th to 14th century. Late medieval Indian literature that was produced between 14th to 18th century. This is a period in which literary gained such as the Kabir, Guru Nanak, Tulsidas, Sankaradev, Saradas, Narsimha Mehta wrote. Before we explore Middle Age in Indian literature, we must keep in mind that India is a vast and diverse country where multiply language and dialects are spoken and varied literature are produced. Hence, there are multitude of linguistic, religion, political, culture, philosophical factors that have shaped the literature of the periods coexisting throughout the country. Despite the perpetual power struggle throughout the northern and southern regions of a country, medieval Indian literature remained more or less unaffected. There was no directly relationship between literary innovations and political changes. Indian literature during the Middle Age was more directly impacted by patronage, linguistic and religion scenarios. The literary produced during the 17th-14th century, 17th and 14th century can be distinctly categorized as a literature produced in royal courts. Work belonging to the medieval period were written from the elite, therefore they were written in Sanskrit. The literature produced in royal court was mostly recite and read. Medieval Indian literature in Sanskrit was conditioned and controlled by royal patterns. Literature produced under the patronage of religion group, template, maths, and monasteries. Their works were written in language usually often as Sanskrit. This literary was mostly religion and was meant to be sung to the masses. It was accompanied by musical instrument and dance performance. Literature produced by Seva and Vaishnava saints reflected their religion thoughts, while Jain and Buddhist monks used literature as an effective instrument to propagate their respective religions' idea. The modern era. Modern Indian poetry in English is a relatively new entrant in Indian poetics traditions, which have existed from more than 4,000 years. However, in span of 5 years, modern Indian poetry have craved a space of its own, with voices that are strong, exploratory, and revealing, often emblematic of the challenges independence India has faced. Whether it's the self-scrutinized words of a Spanish Indian poet, Nizam Ezequiel, leading to greatest insight the paradoxical beauty of street life captured photographical in Arun Kolatrakar's poem of the explosive feminist poetry of Kamal Das. Indian poetry in English has inspired and enlightened many, revealing and enthused at their own. Modern poetry in English can be defined as a poetry written published from 1947 onward by poets of Indian origin writing in English language. This includes poetry from the Indian diaspora, written by poets of Indian origin, born on settled outside of India, with Indian having our 1500 language. Modern Indian poetry in English carries with it the weight of being written in the language of those who once ruled India, and along with that the accusations of not being true and as authentic to the Indian experience. Texts such as Indian Anglophones, Indo-English, Indo-Anglian, Indian English, post-colonial make matter even more complicated and at the same time remind use that modern Indian poetry is not so easy to label. While scholar and critics like a debate, we are perfect to look at modern Indian poetry as a body of work that is constantly growing, shifting and evolving while remaining true to what poetry means in a language that has come to transcend geographies. In conclusion, the evolution of Indian poetics from ancient text to contemporary voice demonstrate a rich tapestry of tradition, innovations, and culture resonance from the Sanskrit epic and treatise to the Bhakti and Sufi movements. Indian poetics has constantly adapted to reflect the changing social landscape and philosophical outlooks. Contemporary poets draw inspiration from their diverse heritage while also explore modern themes, and from this journey highlights the enduring relevance and vitality of Indian poetry, serving as the testaments of its enduring legacy in the global literary landscape. This is my reference. Thank you. Anyone have a question? Yes.
my question is how have ancient Indian poetic forms such as the Vedas and epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata influenced contemporary Indian poetry?
Ancient Indian poetry forms like as a Veda and epic like the Ramayana and Mahabharata inspired and contemporary Indian poetry. In poetry like stylistic elements. Next.
So, Vishwa, my question is, what were the main factors of influencing medieval Indian literature according to your point of view?
The main factor influencing medieval Indian literature were patronage, linguistic diversity, and religion context. Thank you.
So hello everyone, myself Hiral Vaita and I am going to deal with from epic to action decoding Mahabharata in Bahubali. So here are personal information, table of contents, and I'm going to start my presentation with the quote which similar to the concept of archetypal criticism of the famous work Mahabharata and Bahubali. So the famous quote is the Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. That means when you protect righteousness protects you. So famous dialogue from Bahubali movie. मेरे पिता ने सिंहासन के लिए अपना सब कुछ बलिदान कर दिया, लेकिन मैं वही गलती नहीं करूंगा. मैं सिंहासन के लिए लड़ूंगा, लेकिन लोगों के लिए, अपने लिए नहीं. My father sacrificed everything for the throne, but I will not make the same mistake. I will fight for the throne, but for the people, not for myself. So what is archetypal criticism? Archetypal criticism is a literary theory that examines literature through the lens of recurring symbols, characters, motifs, and the themes known as archetypes. These archetypes represent universal patterns and expressions shared across cultures and throughout the human history. So the archetypal criticism examines the literature through the symbols and the characters and the themes known as archetypes. The concept of archetype, it explores the human experience, and the Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconsciousness. The archetypes manifest as symbols of representing fundamental human motivations and experiences. Common archetypes include the hero and the mentor and the quest for identity. This approach emphasizes the timeless relevance of storytelling across the culture and the time periods. So, in the analysis of Mahabharata is an ancient Indian epic poem that chronicles the Kurukshetra war and the dynastic struggle between the Pandavas and Kauravas. And the characters like Arjun, Krishna, and the Draupadi, it's as similar as the Bahubali movie also. So the divine guide and noble heroine respectively. The narrative deals into moral ambiguity, portrays the characters faces the struggles for the kingdom and for their rights. It's like Pandavas fight for their kingdom and their for righteousness. In the Bahubali movie, Amarendra Bahubali was also and his son also fighting for their righteousness. In the Mahabharata deals into moral ambiguity, portrays the character facing ethical dilemmas and the consequences of their actions. as I mentioned, and the reflecting the complexities of human nature. So we see that, and we easily captified that Mahabharata and Bahubali both are the concept of Indian epic, or the basically Indian societal behavioral pattern. So in our day-to-day life, in our family also, we can feel that the behavioral pattern of our family members also. The Mahabharata has a profound influence our Indian culture, shaping religious beliefs, moral codes, and artistic expression, making it one of the most revered and studied text in Hinduism and world literature by Vyasa. So, as we know that the work Mahabharata is known as a epic, and it's in Hinduism, but it gives us a message of basic human nature. Not we considered it is as a basic human nature and a basic cultural pattern, not as a Hindu or any culture or any religious book. Bahubali draws the inspiration from Hindu mythology and folklore as similar as Mahabharata, with the character and events often paralleling mythic archetypes and the motifs enriching the narrative and cultural depths. So, just like Mahabharata, Bahubali also have the same similar kind of characters like Bahubali and his son and his mother and his brother like Duryodhana is fighting for the kingdom for righteousness. Though through its visual spectacle, the emotive storytelling, Bahubali transcends language barriers and cultural boundaries, captivating audience worldwide with its universal themes of love, sacrifice, and heroism. So we found some similar themes in both the works, like love and sacrifice and heroism. So in the both the work, we found the love in many different kinds of level, like love between Arjun and Krishna, also love between the brother and sister like Subhadra and Krishna, also the love between the Draupadi and the Arjun also, and the sacrifice that all the Pandavas going for 14 years of Vanvas, and the Agyatwas also there. And in the Bahubali movie, we found that Bahubali sacrificed his kingdom for Devsena, and the heroism found in the Arjun as similar as like Bahubali in the character. The story revolves around the dynastic conflict for the throne and Mahishmati kingdom, and in this work Bahubali, we found the story around Mahishmati kingdom, and in the in the Mahabharata also we found the story telling around the kingdom also. So the echoing themes of power struggles and political intrigue seen in ancient Indian epics like the Mahabharata. The film's stunning visuals and elaborate set design immerse viewers in a fantastical world, enhancing the mythic quality of story and evoking a sense of awe and power. So basically, it's the fictional, and it's relatable to the epics like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana also, but we cannot particularly and similarly comparing the Bahubali with the Ramayana, but some of the part we can relate it with that. But Mahabharata and Bahubali also the concept of the similar things. So the timeless themes, the power and ambition, the pursuit of the power and the consequences of ambition are requiring motives in both works as character view for dominance and control over the kingdoms, often at great personal cost. So we found that Arjun also fight for the kingdom, and Amrendra Bahubali and his son also fight for the kingdom. we can found in these themes that power and ambition, they both have for the kingdom and for righteousness. So the friendship and loyalty, we found the friendship and loyalty between the both Krishna and Arjun, and in the Bahubali we found it from Katappa and Bahubali. So the depiction of the deep bonds between friends and allies, often tested in the face of adversity. We found that Krishna is like a divine. We found in the Mahabharata that Krishna is like a mentor or as a god. And in the opposite way, the Katappa is Bahubali's servant, but still he is too kind towards the Bahubali. Some another themes also. This color of the alphabetically symbolize the things of the theme. The good is good versus evil. So the in this both the work we found that good versus evil, the main or motive themes of the both work, that the good is Pandavas and the Bahubali and his son, and the evil of the evil characters are the Dhritarashtra and the Balaldeva. So family dynamics in both work we found the family dynamics and the family war. So in the love and sacrifice, as we discussed earlier, in the destiny versus free will. So destiny in the both work, they in the Mahabharata, Pandavas go for the Agyatwas, and in the Bahubali, the Amrendra Bahubali and his son also far away from going to far away from the kingdom. And the free will of both the main protagonists, like Pandavas and Bahubali, is to ruling for the people, for to make some good things for people. So in the conclusion, in the summary, we can found that both Mahabharata and Bahubali showcase the timeless power of storytelling by delving into universal themes like power struggles, loyalty, and the battle between good and evil. Throughout archetypal characters and narratives, these works transcend cultural boundaries and offer profound insights into the human experience, whether depicting the moral complexities of ancient wars or the dynastic conflicts of fictional kingdoms. These narratives continue to captivate audiences, reforming their status and enduring classes in the literature and the cinema. So these are my references. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hiral, my question is, what can people today learn from comparing Mahabharata and Bahubali in terms of their universal themes and characters?
So people can learn from this timeless themes. Can in the timeless themes also people learn it from that. It the both work indicates the societal or basic human natures also. So we can learn that history, if history make any the statement, we cannot repeat it. We can take care of that we can't do it again and again.
My question is, do you think the themes in Mahabharata and Bahubali are only relevant to Indian culture, or do they apply to everyone?
Yes, it's it will be applicable in any country, any religious, anywhere, any how, because it indicates the very common nature of our societal base. So we can found it everywhere, and anyone can relate with it. Thank you.
Hello everyone, very good morning to all. Today I am here with the presentation on archetypes of Greek and Hindu mythologies. So in this presentation I'll try to explore the captivating world of Greek and Hindu mythologies, where gods, heroes and fantastic creatures came to life. Here is my personal information. Let's see the Olympian gods of Greek mythologies. In the pantheon of Greek mythology, the Olympian gods ruled supreme from their lofty abode atop Mount Olympus. This powerful pantheon includes the mighty Zeus and wise Athena, the passionate Aphrodite, and many other deities who embodies full spectrum of human experience and the natural phenomena. There are some major gods of Greek mythologies. First one is Zeus, the king of the gods, wielder of lightning and ruler of the sky. The second one is Hera, the queen of the gods, known for her fierce protection of marriage and family. And the third one is Poseidon, the god of the sea in the Greek mythology, who could command the waves and unleashed devastating storms. Let's see some titans of the Greek mythology. The Titans were a race of powerful deities who ruled the universe before the rise of the Olympian gods. Led by the mighty Cronus, the Titan overthrew their predecessors, the primordial deities, and established their own divine order. Notable titans include Oceanus, Tethys, Themis, Mnemosyne, Hyperion, and the formidable Prometheus, who defied the god and gave humanity to the gift of fire. Some heroes of Greek mythology. The first one is Hercules, the legendary demigod renowned for his incredible strength and bravery, who completed the 12th labor to atone for his sins. Second one is Odysseus, the cunning and resourceful king of Ithaca, whose epic journey home from the Trojan War is chronicled in Homer's Odyssey. The third one is Perseus, the hero who slew and fearsome Gorgon Medusa and rescued the princess Andromeda from a sea monster. Now let's see some gods and avatars from the Hindu mythology. In Hindu mythology, the divine figure Vishnu is said to have taken on various incarnations or avatar to preserve the cosmic order and protect the world from evil. The most famous of these avatars include Krishna, Rama, and Buddha, each representing distinct archetypes and embodying unique characters, which is shown in this image. It is called Vishwarup in Hindu mythologies. These avatars are revered as a physical manifestation of the supreme deity sent to earth to guide and inspire humanity through their divine wisdom, moral teaching, and heroic deeds. Some devas of Hindu mythology. In Hindu mythology, the devas are the benevolent and powerful divine beings who represent the forces of the cosmos. They are led by Indra, the king of the devas, and include a pantheon of gods and goddesses such as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesha, and Saraswati. The devas are revered for their roles in creating, sustaining, and transforming the universe, and they are often depicted in Hindu art and literature as embodiment of virtue, wisdom, and divine power. Some asuras from Hindu mythology. In Hindu mythology, the asuras are a class of powerful supernatural beings, often depicted as a demonic and antagonist antagonistic. They are the rivals and enemies of the benevolent devas, the gods and guardians of the cosmos. The asuras are characterized by their immense strength, ambition, and thirst of power. Famous asuras in Hindu legends include the mighty king Ravana, who kidnapped the goddess Sita, and the jealous Vritra, who sought to hold all the world's water. The epic battle between the asuras and devas is a central theme in many Hindu narratives, symbolizing the eternal struggle between good and evil. So, some shared archetypes between these two mythologies. The first is the concept of pantheons. Both Greek and Hindu mythologies features pantheons of deities, each with unique power and domains. This shared structure allows for complex interaction and power dynamics between the divine figures. The second one is the hero's journey. Mythological heroes in both traditions often undergo a transformative quest, facing trials and challenges that test their courage, wisdom, and resolve. This archetypal narrative is found in the stories of Odysseus and Rama. The cosmic dualities. Mythologies from both cultures explore the tensions between order and chaos, good and evil, through figures like the Titans and Asuras. These divine antagonists represent the necessary counterbalance to the ruling pantheons. Ancestor worship, reverence for ancestral figure, and the importance of honoring one's lineage are common themes in both Greek and Hindu mythologies, as seen in the veneration of heroes and the deification of historical leaders. The influence of mythologies on modern culture. So, first one is influence mythologies on literature. Mythological archetypes and stories have heavily influenced modern literature, from classic novel to contemporary fantasy and sci-fi. The second one is influence on film and TV. Hollywood has long drawn inspiration from mythologies, producing blockbuster movies and hit TV shows rooted in timeless mythological themes and characters. As we all know, many films and TV shows are currently running on TV on mythologies. Art and music. Mythologies continues to inspire visual artists, musicians, creative thinkers who reimagine ancient stories through modern mediums. The last one is philosophy. The philosophical underpinning of mythology have shaped Western and Eastern thought, informing our understanding of the human experience. To conclude the presentation, let's see the enduring power of mythological archetypes. Universal appeal. Mythological archetypes like the hero's journey and the struggle between good and evil transcend culture, captivating audience across eras and continents. Second is timeless relevance. These timeless tales help us understand the human condition, explore our deepest fear and desire, and provide a lens to navigate the complexities of modern life. The third one is cultural preservation. Mythologies serve as a stories of cultural history, values, and traditions, ensuring their preservation and passing to future generations. Last one is artistic inspiration. Mythological archetypes have inspired countless work of art, literature, film, and music, enriching the creative fabric of human civilization. These are some references. Take for questions.
Akshay, my question is between Hindu mythology and Greek mythology, do you find any similar characters like Ram?
So basically, in Hindu mythology and Greek mythology, there is no exact character like Ravan. But if we see some similarities, then Greek god heads share some similarities to Ravan, who considered as a Greek god of underworld. Ravan and the heads both are powerful figures and complex characters, and they both share many similarities.
So, Akshay, my question is for you that which mythology, Hindu or Greek, is considered to be older?
Basically, Hindu mythologies are considered to be older because Hinduism itself very oldest region in the world, and also we can find many examples like Vedas are were composed 3000 years ago. So Hindu mythology is older. Thank you.
So very good morning, everyone. My name is Kusum Sarvaya, and on the fourth day of presentation, I'm going to make a presentation on character archetypes by Carl Jung. This is my personal information, things which we are going to discuss in the presentation, and let's start with the introduction. So Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, is a well-known name. We all are familiar with the name, and these archetypes are universal symbols or pattern that reside within the collective unconscious and influence human behavior and experiences. This collective unconscious, we will discuss it in later. It is a deep. It has a deep. It is a basically a term. These archetypes manifest in myth, literature, and dreams, providing a framework for the understanding human experiences and motivations, various interpretations and expansions of Jungian archetypes that may include around 12 distinct character archetypes. So Carl Jung, his full name is Carl Gustav Jung. The pronunciation is like Jung, because the spelling is like Jung. He worked in various things like psychiatry, psychology, anthropology, literature, philosophy, religious studies, and parapsychology. He is also widely regarded for the cultural implications for his works and its influence of contemporary spirituality, arts, and popular media. These are some his notable works. And what is the collective unconscious? Because as we are where we are going to discuss the character archetypes, it is necessary to know what is collective unconscious. Because in one way we can say this, that character archetypes are the outcome of collective unconscious. So the term introduced by psychiatrist Carl Jung to represent a form of the consciousness. That part of the mind contain memory and impulses of which the individual is not aware. So we all have that kind of memory or that kind of thoughts in our mind, but we are not totally aware about it. In one way, we can say this, that these kind of thoughts are in our subconscious mind. And common to mankind as a whole and originating in the inherent structure of the brain. For example, if I am looking for the situation, so when we are going somewhere and if cat will cut the way. So we will must be think about that now something bad will happen, something kind of up sugar. So we don't have this kind of proper stories and that kind of thing, but we all have this kind of thinking. And if we are thinking looking about characters, so when, for example, if let's take an example of Sita. And as I say the word Sita, so you must be thinking about Ramayana, about Ram, about Agni Pariksha and all. But and so these kind of things are only in our subconscious mind, which are only activated by the word Sita. So this in this term, in this thing, we can say that what is unconscious, collective unconscious. This collective means the collective, which is kind of thing which already in a mind of masses, and unconscious means which are not totally, we are not know about this unknowingly, which is in our mind. According to Jung, the collective unconscious contains archetype or universal primordial images and ideas. So let's start with the first character archetype. The first character is the innocent, and the innocent shine with the purity and simplicity, embracing life with the trust and warmth, which endows them with the extraordinary capacity to see the sublime in the mundane. This innocent kind of character is I think this character is making just to gain sympathy of the audience. In photo, it is the photo of Snow White. It is from movie The Snow Huntsman and the Snow White. And as we gone through the movie and the story as well of Snow White, we mostly sympathize with the character. And the next one is the orphan. The figure is poignant representation of the universal search for a place in the world, a tribe to call one's own, and a purpose that grants life a deeper meaning. The best example is Harry Potter's Harry, who is orphan and always looking for his own space in a whole story, in all the parts. And at the end, we know that he have made his own world or his own place. The next one is the hero. Is the best character archetype which we all are already familiar. Sometimes known as the warrior, always forefront of conflict, ready to crush the enemy and save everybody with an unlying spirit. They embodies the archetype of a true leader, prepared to take on any challenges and inspire those around them. All in any one story, in any story, all the people have the collected people connected with the hero, and the whole story is around the hero character. The next one is the caregiver. The caregiver is kind of, you can say, main character, and it is like another protagonist or the side hero as well. The caregiver embodies the nourishing and protective qualities often associated with the mother archetype, takes on various forms. They could be a parent, spouse, or a steadfast best friend, Tarak Mehta, of Jethalal, who is always ready to give his everything to Jethalal, and always ready to sacrifice for the main character. Regardless of the role they play, their essence revolves around providing support and care to those they cherish. They are the unsung heroes whose influence may not only be at the forefront of action. These can be counted on. They give their all when it comes to ensuring the safety and well-beingness of others. The next one is explorer. As we heard the name explorer, we must be think about you will always easily connecting with the photo, the bunny, or I think the real name is Kavi. Maybe I'm not sure. The explorer is a bold traveler. They set out without a clear path and are always open to novelty and adventure. They find meaning in shining and mundane and turning their eye to what is new, what is undiscovered, or the cutting edges, new places, new ideas, new approaches, and maybe everything which is connected with the character of Bunny and this explorer kind of character, which are less, we can say, in the stories and movies. The next one is the rebel. The rebellious character are always maybe in many stories sometimes it is they are thinking positively, but their way to action is like maybe rebellious. It can also considered as the outlaw, represent a profound challenges to the cultural shadow, the unspoken rules, and the unchecked power structure of society. And the best example may be the Manjari from the Gujarati movie Hello. This archetypes is a catalyst for change, embodying the quest for the freedom and demasculating the oppressive systems. Next one, the obvious one and the familiar one as well, the lover. The lover is a character archetype that showcases the depth and intensity of human emotions and relationships. These individuals wear their hearts on their sleeves, embodying devotions and passion in its purest form. The Shiddat movie from the hero of Shiddat movie, I don't know the name of movie, I forgot. But the lover, maybe in today's Bollywood, we will easily find these characters. And next one is the creator. The creator is quite an interesting character. The creator archetype is truly a fascinating figure in storytelling, embodying the quietness of imagination and innovation. These are the individuals who feel an insatiable urge to produce, to create, and shape the world around them. And the best example is maybe Harshad Mehta, because as we gone through the whole story of him, and the series as well, Scam 1992, we know that how he wants to make his own place in the story, and how he want to become a hero of his own story. The next one is this Jester. It is my favorite one, and we will find everything this kind of character, the Joker. As one of the notable Jungian archetype, embodies a unique combination of humor, wit, and often unexpected depth, with their infection, laughter, and love for a good joke that bring a lightness to any story and helping to balance out more serious or tense moments. The Pumbaa and T1 is the best example from the Lion King. And in a movie, in our Bollywood movie like Arjun Rampal and this Dadlani, I forgot the name. They mostly, and from Tollywood, maybe Brahmanandan, and they that kind of people who make the character like Jester. The next one is the magician, and this Jester character is maybe kind of a Vidushak, we will say in works of Kalidasa. Next one is magician. The magician character archetype often harbors a more enigmatic and potentially sinister aura. Much like the mentor, they are on a quest for enlightenment, the wisdom, but what sets them apart is their desire to bend and shape the world around them according to their own vision. And the Professor Dumbledore is, as we know in the Harry Potter, how he helps and how he have a wisdom to change the aura and change and how he want to enlighten the world with help of Harry. The very next character is the Sage. It's like a godlike character, and who mostly silent in stories. The character archetype of Sage is wise character who offers up their knowledge, typically using their intelligence to provide context or impart this wisdom to another character to improve their chance of success. They often perform the role of mentor to the protagonist. The Sage is passionate about learning and is constantly working to improve their mind and spirit. And this photo is Shastriji from Reva movie. Reva is a quite interesting movie. It is the adaptation of Dhruv Bhatt's novel Tatvamasi. And as we gone through this movie, we come to know that Shastriji, how he is constantly trying to improving his spirit and their mind, and he also want to help to hero. The last one is the ruler. The ruler archetype represent authority, responsibility, sovereignty, both in their personal domain and in a broader social context. The rule can be just or tyrannical, but always it is remarked by their commanding presence. The ruler exerts influence not just through direct control, but also through the establishment of laws, norms, and structure that define the environment in which they are other operates. So the both character are maybe the ruler in movie, but one is the wise ruler, and the another one is tyrannical with the rules are tyrannical. And in this first image, these are all the archetype in one image, and you will find the motto, desire, goals, and what could be the flow of the characters you will find. And the another picture is about other adaptation, that how our brands are also related with the character archetypes. This model can be used in various things as well. The role of character archetype in literature. Jungian character archetypes play a crucial role in literature by serving as a fundamental building blocks for character development and storytelling. These archetypes are providing universal patterns of behavior and personality traits that resonate with audience. Writers and artists often they use these archetypes to create relatable characters and themes that tap into collective unconsciousness. By utilizing these archetypes, creator can be craft narrative and visual that evoke deep emotional resonance and connect with audience on a profound level. And with the conclusion, through the exploration of archetypal criticism, such as the hero and ruler and sage, literature becomes a mirror reflecting the timeless truth and universal struggle of the human being. Thus, the Jungian character archetypes continue to play a vital role in enriching and unveiling storytelling across culture and generation. As we know that these are characters are not only Bollywood and not only the English movie, but in all the from Greek to from other cultures and language, they all are exist in every story. These archetypes emerge from the collective experiences of humanity. As I say this, these archetypes are outcome of collective experiences and are deeply ingrained in our psyches, influence our thoughts, behaviors, and perceptions. And visit these sources for further reading. And thank you. We can discuss the questions.
So, Kusum, do you believe these archetypes will continue to exist in the future, or do you think they will undergo change?
These characters, as I know, that is already are in every culture, every language, and every stories. So maybe these characters have deeply rooted in all the cultures and languages. So I don't think so that it will totally change, but it can be slightly changed. From from time of Jung, and as we saw in today's time, we already have this hero, the rebel, and many characters from his studies. So we can say this that it will not totally change, but it can be slightly changed. Thank you. Next question, please.
So, Kusum, my question is for you that which character archetype do you find most intriguing in the stories and why?
Mostly we will find that according to me it is the character of hero, according to me, because the hero character is everyone wants to see the hero who is fighting with enemies, who is like who wants everything easy, and everyone wants to say that in end everything will be happy ending. So I think a hero's character, everyone wants to connect with this, and the whole story and any story will be surrounding the character of hero. So I think the hero's character will be most interesting. Thank you.
A very good afternoon, everyone. I am Darshan Wad, and I am here with the presentation Connected Minds, exploring the concept of collective consciousness. This is my academic information. So what is collective consciousness? Collective consciousness is about how people in a group share thoughts and feelings because of their shared experience, beliefs, and values. This idea suggests that our thoughts and emotions can be connected, making us feel like we are part of something bigger and sharing a common identity. In a group with collective consciousness, people can influence each other's thoughts, feelings, and action, creating a unity and following shared rules. Collective consciousness can happen in a small group or an entire society, affecting how people behave and make decisions together. by learning about collective consciousness, it can help us understand how group works, how cultures has evolved, and and why certain people have joined certain social movements, which is important in a field like psychology and sociology. So, in simple terms, collective consciousness is a process that our minds are not entirely isolated. We are influenced by and can influence other thoughts, emotions, and behaviors of other around us. This interconnectedness can be observed in a smaller group that shares experience and culture, or it can be theorized to exist on a larger scale, encompassing all the humanity. So, the history of this concept. So, the concept of collective consciousness mind has been around for centuries. Plato spoke of a shared realm of forms, and William James explored the idea of stream of consciousness that could connect minds. But it was not given in formal theory since late 19th and early 20th century. And a sociologist HEMALI and psychologist Carl Jung offered a more formal theories on collective consciousness. So Durkheim saw collective consciousness as a social group that bond individuals together, while Jung believed in a collective unconscious, a deep layer of psyche contained universal human experience and archetypes. Now we'll see some critics of them. So Iran Progov noticed that Jung borrowed the main idea of collective representations from Durkheim. And Chito Gaula concluded that while Durkheim and Jung use similar terms, their reasoning remained distinct. John argued that understanding Jung's focus on collective consciousness and the unconscious require acknowledging his debt to Durkheim and French sociology. And the last, Stechman Mestrovic highlights the presence of unconscious in a Durkheim's concept, a point often overlooked by sociologists. There is not much of scientific exploration for collective consciousness, explanation for collective consciousness. However, some potential mechanisms have been explored, in which we first see mirror neurons. So, brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action. We can see with the example of that if someone is doing Garba, and if anyone is Garba enthusiastic, by showing and listening to the music, it will obvious that that person will certainly feel tingling feeling of doing Garba. So second is neurotransmitter, in which they say that chemical messengers in the brain that can be influenced by others' emotions. This one can also be seen with the example of that if someone is going to a funeral and everyone is crying and everyone are in despair, that person will also do the same, or it will certainly that person will felt emotional at that time. And the third is shared environments. So common experience and cultures can shape similar thought patterns. It could be, and for that we have a saying in Gujarati that બળદ માટે છે કે ગાળા સાથે ધોળો બાંધો તો વાન ન આવે પણ હાન આવે. So the common experience and cultures can shape similar thought patterns. Now, collective consciousness in different cultures. So, indigenous traditions have a long-standing tradition of collective consciousness where the group's well-being is prioritized over individual interests. These practices foster a deep sense of community and interconnectedness. In Eastern philosophy, such as Buddhism, emphasize the concept of non-duality and interconnectedness of all things. Practices like meditation and mindfulness cultivate a heightened awareness of shared experience of collective consciousness. In West, the idea of collective consciousness has its roots in the writing of ancient Greek philosophers who explored the notion of a shared societal mind. And this tradition has continued to influence modern Western thoughts on the topic. In today's increasingly globalized world, the concept of collective consciousness has taken new meanings, reflecting the growing sense of interconnectedness and shared experience among diverse cultures and communities around the world. So, the influence of technology on collective consciousness. So the technology has played a vital role to get a huge boom to this collective consciousness. And the use of social media and online communities has amplified the interconnectedness of people, allowing the rapid spread of idea and the formation of global shared experience. Emerging technologies like virtual and augmented reality have the potential to create a deeply immersive shared experience, potentially blurring the lines between individual and collective consciousness. The ubiquity of digital devices and constant connectivity has led to a heightened sense of real-time awareness of a global event, fostering a greater sense of collective consciousness. So, what is the future of collective consciousness? So, technological advances will likely play an increasingly significant role in shaping, enabling a new form of collective consciousness on global scale. The cultivation of mindfulness and empathy among the individual will crucially harnessing the power of collective consciousness to addressing global changes and promote unity. Collective consciousness may lead to more decentralized and participatory decision-making process, empowering individuals and communities to shape the future in more collaborative manner. Virtual communities, online platform, and virtual reality will facilitate the formation of vast interconnected communities that transcend geographic boundaries, fostering a deep sense of shared experience and identity. So, to conclude, the concept of collective consciousness remains fascinating mystery, a dance between individual mind and a potential shared experience. While scientific explorations are still being explored, the idea that our thought and feeling might be interconnected offers a powerful perspective on our place in the world. As we move forward, understanding collective consciousness can help us foster greater empathy, build stronger communities, and perhaps even tap into a deeper well of collective wisdom. For further reading, you can visit these sources. Now I would like to have your questions.
Darshan, how collective consciousness can help in modern literature?
So, collective consciousness has been helping in literature, but if we see in a modern aspect, then I think writers would have better reach to their readers, and they can, by doing that, they can improve their works. Next, please.
Darshan, my question is, can you provide examples from history or literature that illustrate the power and challenges of collective consciousness and interconnectedness?
So, when you talk about power, I remember, when we talk about power, the first example I would give is the non-violence movement that was led by Gandhiji, and in that movement, hundreds of millions of people came around from the different part of country for a common cause. And if we talk about the challenges, then in our society, there are they came once they came for a common cause, but if we see there are many divisions of caste right now, so it would be a challenges if we talk about challenges in collective consciousness. Thank you very much.
Very good afternoon, everyone. Today my topic is scaffoldings on archetype in literature. This is my personal information. This is table of content. Introduction. Definition of archetype. Archetype in literary criticism is primo image, character, or pattern of circumstance that recur throughout the literature and thought constantly enough to be considered a universal concept or situation. The term was adopted and popularized by literary critics from the writing of the psychologist Carl Jung, who formulated a theory of collective unconscious. The Canadian literary critic and theorist Northrop Frye was influenced in extending the use of the term archetype to specially literary context. Archetypal criticism has been connected with another group of the thinker closely allied to its Jungian roots, including Maud Botskin and James Hillman. Definition of scapegoat. A scapegoat is a character who blames or punishes for the fault or sins of others, often serving as a symbol of social tension, injustice, or sacrifice. Importance of archetypes in literature. Archetypes provide a framework for understanding and interpreting story by tapping into shared human experience, emotion, and culture symbol. The scapegoat archetype in particular shed light on the complex social dynamics, moral dilemmas, and human condition. Understanding the scapegoat archetype. Historical origins. Scapegoat in the Yom Kippur ritual described in the Torah got ritually burned with the sins of the Jewish people. The scapegoat was sent into wilderness for Israel, possibly for the purpose of letting that evil spirit, while a separate goat was slain in offering to God. In ancient Greek, human scapegoat were used to mitigate a plague or other calamity, or even the prevent such ills. In Athenians choose a man and woman for festival of Thargelia. During the Roman fest of Rupercalia, priests cut the thorns from the sacrificial animal, then rest around the walls of the old Platin city, striking woman is the path with the thorns. Psychological implection of the scapegoat archetype from the Freudian and Jungian perspective. Freud identifies scapegoating as a defense mechanism where individual unconsciously project undesirable traits onto others, the alleged with guilt or anxiety. This process of projection shields the ego from internal conflict and preserve one's self-image. Jung, on the other hand, viewed the scapegoat archetype as a part of the collective unconscious, representing primal patterns shared by all individuals. He associated it with the shadow aspect of psyche, where individuals project their own repressed quality onto others. Characteristic of the scapegoat archetype: innocence. Scapegoats are often depicted as innocent individuals who are unjustly blamed or punished for the fault sins of others. Their innocence serve to highlight the injustice and cruelty of their treatment by society. Sacrifice. The scapegoat archetype is closely associated with the symbolism of sacrifice. Scapegoat may willingly and unwillingly offer themselves up as a sacrifice for the perceived greater good, or as a means restoring social harmony or order. Victimhood. Scapegoat typically suffering persecution or even death as a result of being unfairly singled out, targeted. Example of scapegoat in literature. Biblical reference. I say, in the biblical story found in the book of Genesis, Isaac is the son of Abraham and Sarah, and he nearly sacrificed by his father as a test of faith. Abraham condemned by God to sacrifice Isaac, but at the last moment, an angel intervenes and provides a ram for sacrifice to instead. Isaac's role as the scapegoat highlight themes and obedience, faith, and sacrifice. Classical literature example: Othello. Othello by William Shakespeare. In Shakespeare tragedy, Othello serves as a tragic scapegoat. Othello, a Moorish general in the Venetian army, becomes the target of manipulation and disease of orchestrated by his insane Lago. Lago exploit Othello's insecurity about his race and marriage to Desdemona to incite jealousy and substitution Othello's mind through a series of cunning and manipulation and fabricated evidence. Lago convinced the Othello that Desdemona has been unfaithful to him, his lieutenant Possio. Modern literature. Tom Robinson in To Kill Mockingbird by Harper Lee. He is another character who proves to be good scapegoat archetype as he flees and becomes the source of ills in his absence. When he rapes the White Lady, he instantly becomes a source of evil as well. All the ills that befall upon community. Although Atticus Finch knows about Tom and his innocence, his best efforts save his life and reputation fail. He proves the good case of scapegoat archetype character. In conclusion, in literature, archetype of the scapegoat serves as a powerful symbol representing themes of sacrifice, redemption, and social injustice. Through various narrative characters designated as the scapegoat often undergo profound transformation, offering insight into human nature and complexity of morality. By exploring the role of scapegoat, we gain deeper understanding of the dynamics of power, empathy, and resilience within the both literature and society. This is my resource. Now, if you have question, ask.
So, Jay, my question is, how does the scapegoat archetypes compare to other characters archetypes in the literature, such as the hero or the villain?
In scapegoat archetype, in hero into villain, is a hero into villain character archetype blame or misunderstood. Example like Tom in To Kill a Mockingbird. Tom Robinson is a scapegoat archetype in literature.
Jay, my question is, what are some common traits or characteristics of scapegoat characters in literature?
The scapegoat characteristic like the injustice, misunderstood, sacrifice and suffering into sacrifice of own life. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm GOHIL and my today's topic for presentation is From Lost to Legacy, the Orphan Hero Archetype in Fictional Narratives. These are my academic information. So first let us understand what is archetypal criticism. The origin of this theory is seen in social anthropology and psychoanalysis, but in literature it is popularized by Northrop Frye, who is a Canadian literary critic. Now, archetypal criticism is a method of analyzing literature that focuses on recurring symbols, motifs, and character types known as the archetypes. So it is like finding common, one can say, ingredients in a recipe. So we find out what are the building blocks of some stories that are common in all of the stories. So archetypes are universal patterns or symbols that evoke deep emotional responses and resonate across culture and time period. So these archetypes are seen in many of the stories across cultures. And Frye's archetypal criticism theory helps readers uncover underlying patterns and themes in literary work. So through them, we see some common characters in the literature. For today's presentation, I have decided to understand the orphan archetype. Now, the orphan archetype is a recurring character type in literature and mythology who has lost one or both parents and often faces adversity and challenges. Now, as Raphael says, this figure is a poignant representation of the universal search for a place in a world, a tribe to call one's own, and a purpose that grants life a deeper meaning. Now, a few strengths, weaknesses, and motivation of this archetype. So, Raphael says that the strengths of this archetype lie in their empathy, their survival instinct, a sense of being chosen, adaptability, and resilience. Their weakness can be seen in lack of self-confidence, eagerness to please, fear of abandonment, and sometimes being overtly trusting. And their motivation is to connect, be accepted, and be understood. Essentially, to find a place in the world and people to call their own. So, in my presentation, we will try to explore how does the portrayal of orphan hero archetype in literature reflect universal themes of identity, resilience, and the quest for meaning and belonging. For this exploration, I have chosen the characters of Jane Eyre, Harry Potter, and Oliver Twist. So let me introduce you to the character of Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is a novel written by Charlotte Bronte, and it is set in the early 19th century. Now, Jane Eyre, the novel follows the story of the titular character as she navigates through the challenges of love, identity, and societal expectations. Jane is, as I said, an orphan girl, and she lives with her aunt and faces much abuse there. And from there, she goes to the Lowood school, and there also situations are very bad. From then on, she goes on to becoming a governess, and later marrying Mr. Rochester. So that is the journey of Jane. And in here we see the themes of morality, independence, and the struggle for equality. So let us analyze Jane Eyre as an orphan hero. So as I said, she was very much mistreated by her aunt. And they had cousins there. They used to bully her physically, mentally, but despite all of this, Jane displays remarkable resilience, and she emerges as a very strong character. And throughout the novel, she grapples with the question of identity and belonging. And even when she is in the Lowood school, which is like a charity school for orphan girls, so there also she faces many troubles. But no matter the disadvantages, she finds the education as a means of self-improvement and empowerment. Even in those days when ladies had limited career options, she chose to become a governess
And she also worked as a teacher in the same school for some time, and then later became a governess. And through these actions, she asserts her independence and takes a position of financial stability. She finds herself self-sufficient. And she refuses to be defined solely by her social status as an orphan and strives to carve out a meaningful existence for herself. Now let me introduce you to the character of Harry Potter. He comes from the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, and it is set in Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and it follows the journey of Harry Potter, who is a young orphan, and on his 11th birthday he finds out that he's a wizard. And then from then on he embarks on thrilling adventures, and the book is filled with friendship, bravery, and eternal battle between good and evil. Now, in Harry Potter's case as well, we see that he was also mistreated by his aunt and uncle at the Dursley's house. And despite all of this, he too remains a resilient character. And he is very courageous and resourceful, and he does not shy away from adventure and difficulties. And he grapples with the question of identity and belonging throughout the series. And even when he goes to the Hogwarts school, he tries to find out his parents' past and to know more about them. And he wants to feel the sense of belonging. And when he has this opportunity for education, and in Hogwarts he finds a community like him and like people like him, and he embraces them and stands up for injustice and fights for the values of courage, loyalty, and friendship. As Cecilia Fides says, that the longing of a normal and safe life wakens inside of Harry when he comes to Hogwarts and sees his friends, family relationships. Harry wants to do something good with what is trusted upon him. A determination wakens inside of Harry as he realizes that his parents died for him, and he decides to live up to their reputation and become the greatest wizard of all time. So we see that he remains resilient in the face of all of these difficulties, and he emerges as this hero. So here we can see him as an orphan hero archetype. Now let me introduce you to the third character, Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist comes from the novel of Charles Dickens of the same name, and it is set in Victorian London. And Oliver Twist is also an orphan. His mother died giving birth to him, and he does not know who his father is. And he is raised in a workhouse. And throughout his life, throughout his childhood at least, he faces many problems. And he navigates the dark underbelly of Victorian society. And through Oliver Twist, we see the problems of Victorian orphans of that time. And the novel explores the harsh realities of poverty, injustice, and the struggle for survival. Now, analyzing Oliver Twist as an orphan hero. So, Oliver Twist is, as I said, orphaned at birth, and he grew up in the workhouse where he is very much mistreated. And there is this famous example that he wanted some more food. And so he asked for it, that could I please have some more? And because of that, he is punished and sent to an apprentice to another cruel man. From then on, he runs away and finds himself in London streets alone. And later, he is connected to a crime gang, and he is he is caught for a crime of stealing. Actually, he did not steal it, but he takes the blame. And later he is taken to the court. And so it is a very difficult journey of Oliver Twist. But despite all of this, he too maintains a sense of innocence and goodness. And he refuses to be corrupted by cruelty and injustice around him. So throughout the novel, Oliver is longing for a sense of belonging and security. And wherever he goes, he often wonders who his parents are, if he has any family or not. And he grapples with the question of identity and self-discovery. And later in the novel, he also finds his true origins and heritage, and is also adopted by a man, and he has a family at the end of it. But in the entire novel, this is basically his quest of self-identity. And he learns valuable life lessons from people he encounters, both good and bad, and matures into a compassionate and resilient young man. So, the characters we see, a few archetypal characteristics of the orphan hero that we see from this is mistreatment by others. And but despite all of this, they remain resilient and have inner strength, and they do not let others diminish their inherent goodness. At the end of the day, after all of these difficulties, the orphan heroes remain good character, and I think that is why they struck a chord with the audience because audience connect to them on an emotional level. Because they are orphans, they already have a little bit of sympathy from the audience, but their inherent goodness and this, as I said, that in inner strength, no matter what bad happens, they remain resilient. And this characteristic makes the readers root for them. We want good things to happen to these characters because we connect to them on an emotional level. And often, as we said, that the quest is for identity and belonging, to find a family, to find familiar faces, and yeah, so that was the orphan archetype, and these are my references. Now, if you guys have any questions.
So, Bhumi, my question is, can you provide some other example of orphan archetype from movies and literature?
Yes, actually, there are lots of examples. If you see Thomas Hardy's famous novel Jude the Obscure, where Jude Foley is an orphan character. David Copperfield by Charles Dickens also portrays an orphan. A series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket portrays the life of Baudelaire orphans. And other than that, in famous movies like The Lion King, the Simba is an orphan. Then we have Cinderella and not Sleeping Beauty actually, Cinderella and the Frozen movie series. And they also have the stories of orphan. Other than that, we have famous superheroes like Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. They are also orphan hero characters. So yeah, these were a few examples.
So, Bhumi, my question is, how does orphan hero archetypes contribute to the depth of fictional narratives?
As I said, that they strike this chord of connection with the audience, and because of that, we like root for them. And since their journey is, they do not have actually a base. Like when characters have parents and family, we can assume that they are going to have those characteristics inside of them. When we have orphan characters, they are basically like a blank slate, and so they can develop on their own. And because of that, it provides a depth, and the audience is eager to know like how they will turn out. So I think that is how it contributes to the narrative depth. And thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Akash Chawla, and today's my presentation topic is exploring archetypal themes in Game of Thrones. So these are some academic details, and starting with the introduction of the series Game of Thrones. So Game of Thrones is one of the popular American fantasy series, which is one of the famous and adapted from George R.R. Martin's bestseller novels, A Song of Fire and Ice. It is one of the highest rated IMDb series and under the production of the HBO Entertainments. And Game of Thrones is American fantasy which is created by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. This particular series is set in a fictional place of Westeros, in which the 7 noble families are there who are at the war to have a rule on Iron Throne. So it is a series also around the mythical world, like a cracked mirror reflection of a medieval Europe. In this series, this series revolves around the 3 main noble families: the Stark families, Targaryen family, and the Lannister family. So the series is renowned for its critical acclaim and widespread cultural influence. And as the series left the indelible mark on American television and the fantasy genre due to its intricate characters. These series have numerous characters, and they are also complicated and ambiguous characters. So there are this series is full of archetypes. So I have only taken two archetypes, hero and anti-hero archetypes, I will talk about the 5 major characters from this series who falls under that archetypes. So what is archetypal criticism? I will not go much deeper into that because it is already discussed many in previous presentation. So Daniel Russell Brown in his article, A Look at Archetypal Criticism, tries to define the archetypal criticism that it views the literary work as tapping into universal mythic patterns, symbolic images, and archetypal character that arise from the collective unconscious shared by all humans across the culture. In the article, Brown also refers to what Walter K. Gordon says, that the basic contention of the archetypal criticism is that literary expression is an unconscious product of the collective experience of the entire species. That when writer is trying to write any literary work, in his mind, it is already been there. In his subconscious, in his or her subconscious mind, there are archetypal images are there. So whatever writer is writing, it is not his own expression, but the expression of the cultural past that is already in store of his subconscious mind. So major supporter of the archetypal criticism is Maud Botkin, who wrote the archetypal patterns in the poetry by the Jung's theory of the collective unconsciousness. And this archetypal criticism is populated by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung in his work Archetypes and Collective Consciousness. And Canadian critic Northrop also elaborated archetypal criticism in the categories like romance archetypes, comedy archetypes, and tragedy archetypes. So Carl Jung is also hailed as the father of the archetypal criticism, and he says that essentially an unconscious content that is altered by becoming conscious and by being perceived, in which he says that these archetypal images are stored in our unconscious mind. That whenever writer is writing anything, that unconscious image, that conscious image comes to the surface level of the writer, and whatever writer is right, it is whatever archetypes that writer writes is not pure. It is become distorted by being perceived. And in later part of the article, Brown also discuss about the strength and weaknesses of the archetypal criticism. So talking about the strength, that by doing archetypal criticism to the text, we can easily understand the narrative of the text. It becomes easier for us to understand the text. And for the weakness, the archetypal criticism makes the character expression diminished, and also it does the oversimplification of the character. So what is hero archetypes? So Joseph Campbell in his work The Hero with the Thousand Faces talks about these hero archetypes, and there are various categories. There are 6 categories in which hero archetypes is categorized. The hero archetype is one of the oldest and popular and one of the common archetypes in our society. The hero archetype is literary character that is all good, and he or she will save people and do the right thing. There are 6 major archetypes in hero archetypes in literature. First one is epic hero. Epic hero's famous example is the Trojan verse hero Achilles. Tragic hero's famous example is King Lear, and classic hero Everyman, Byronic hero, and the anti-hero. According to Joseph Campbell, a hero can go beyond his personal limits as well as limit imposed upon him by his culture. Heroes should be physically strong as well as they should be morally strong as well. The hero should not be morally decayed person. And further, Joseph Campbell says that the standard path of the mythological adventure of hero is a magnification of the formula represented in the rites of passage. The hero's journey includes the 3 stages. First one is the separation, in which hero separates from his loved ones or his families, and then comes the enlightenment part, in which his journey as a hero begins, in which he counters sufferings, and he is sometimes at the war with some enemies as well. And then he returns from this voyage. And after returning, hero always seen as share his heroic tales to the people. And in the series Game of Thrones, there are 2 major characters who falls under this hero archetype, which is Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. So first we will see Jon Snow as the evolving hero. The Jones, like many mythical heroes, many mythical archetypes hero, the Jon Snow's birth is a remain mystery to us. Her father, Eddard Stark of Winterfell, does not reveal her mother to us, like who is Jon Snow's mother. So he is a bastard son, and for that reason, he is not accepted within the family. And Jon Snow becomes the member of Night's Watch. This becoming the member of Night's Watch involves the watchful eyes on the enemies on the wall. and which also means to the sacrifice of the marriage, property, and children and titles. He is beautiful and honorable. We witness his personal isolation and his first journey from the home to the world. Like many heroes, he embodies both noble qualities and imperfection. And he also, for his for his fulfillment of purpose and beauty, he also rejects the love of the Yagrid. And he once seen as escaping death. In one episode, he's seen as the dead, and the next episode, by some black magic, he is revived again. So this revival of hero is considered as the archetypal image of the hero. Jon Snow's character in the Game of Thrones fits the hero's archetype in the traditional campaign sense. So, the creator of the series, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, says about the Jon Snow that Jon Snow tries to live with honor while knowing that often gets his family members murdered. So, this next one is the Daenerys Targaryen. She is one of the complex character of the series, and she can also be interpreted from the various other archetypes as well, such as mother archetype, the caregiver archetype, and the ruler archetype as well, because she is also aspired to become the king of the Iron Throne. So her journey begins after he let her husband Khal Drogo to kill her cruel brother, making her next in the line to the throne of Westeros. And she also been given to the supernatural aid from the dragons. We in the series find that she's in controlling of the nature. She can possess the ability to manipulate dragons as well. So she is connected with the supernatural being, which also connect her as a hero. And she is also advised by the wise old man Jorah Mormont, providing assistance in her journey, unfitting Campbellian's concept. So, despite facing countless challenges, betrayal, and loss, Daenerys persists in her quest to reclaim her throne. One other character is Arya Stark, which this is also one of the complex and ambiguous characters. We do not know whether she is a hero or a villain. So Arya Stark in the series is known as seen as a tomboy. She does not want feminine pursuit like getting ready and all the makeup things, but rather she is fascinated towards the machinery and weaponry. We can see time and again her to practice weaponry and combat skill. She sharpens her combat skill as well, and she also received the prophecy that she will be the savior of the human. She will be the savior of the humankind. On the other hand, there are some anti-heroic qualities of the Arya as well. So, first one is the leaving the hound to die. In his journey, she was accompanied by the hound, but she leaves her to the die, and she also enjoys torturing and enjoys killing as well. But at the end of the Game of Thrones, there is a pretty solid argument to be made that Arya is literally the greatest hero the world has ever known, because she was the one who ended the war between the Night Kings and the humans. Another character is Tyrion Lannister. It is also one of the ambiguous characters. I can say that it is one of the most loved anti-heroes by the audience of this series. So Tyrion Lannister as a nuanced figure who straddled both heroic and anti-heroic archetypes. This, at the same time, he presents the heroic archetypes, and at the same time, it is anti-heroic as well. So his journey parallels the archetype of hero's quest, because he also wanted to become the king of Westeros. At the same time, he is honorable, he is honest, intriguing, and at the same time, he is also a womanizer, a drunkard, and a deception. He also her family members also contributes to decline of the hero archetypes as well, because in hero image in our mind is like of that hero should be physically strong, but here the Tyrion Lannister is a dwarf. So indulging in his lust, drunkenness, and deception, he manipulates people, situation for his own gain, even his family members as well. So he embodies the very flawed nature of the human beings. The last one is the Cersei Lannister as an anti-hero. Lawrence Saran in her article says that she is the TV's one of the greatest female antagonists or the anti-hero. She is also vengeful, manipulative, cruel, and has no sympathy for the less fortunate, even if they are in her own family. time and again we see in the series that she is constantly plotting against her enemy and also plotting against even his family members as well. And she was also engaged. In illicit relationship between her with her brother as well. So Cersei is a rare example of the captivating, complex anti-hero character who appears to be a woman. While we see the anti-heroes that are male, we can see that they are loved by the audience, but it is not the same case for the women as well. They are not. They are often hated because what they are. So here, not the case with the Cersei Lannister. It is she is time and again captivates the audience by his cunning desires, and she is one of the anti-hero of the series. So in conclusion, the series Game of Thrones contains substantial amount of the various archetypes it contains, and the ambiguous ones are also there. And the series has reached a cultural importance and impact that goes beyond its medieval fantasy backdrop. And exploring archetypes in the series help us to understand the cultural importance and the broader cultural impact. These are some references, and thank you.
So, Akash, my question is, how is the archetype of dwarfism commonly portrayed and utilized in popular culture?
So, archetype of dwarfism is often portrayed as a negative connotation. If we look at the folklore of the Scotland and England, there is a dwarf named Goblin. So they are seen as a mischievous characters, and if we take another example, that is the Tolkien's novel series, The Hobbit, and the other one is The Lord of the Rings, in which the dwarfs people presented as good and bad all. And if we look in the Indian context, then we can see that there was show in the sub TV that Hootergu, in which a dwarf character was a kind of a jester, and the other one is okay, so I have forgot the other one, but these are the dwarfism commonly portrayed in the popular culture.
So, Akash, my question is, in your opinion, which character of Game of Thrones best represents the hero archetype and why?
In my opinion, the character of the Jon Snow best represents the hero archetype because it fulfills all the criteria given by the Joseph Campbell to be a hero. Because if we look at the Arya Stark, she does at last kills the Night King, but she does not fulfill other criteria by the Joseph Campbell as fulfilled by the Jon Snow's character. So, in my point of view, Jon Snow is one of the classical hero of the Game of Thrones.
Hello everyone, myself Hardi Bora, and today I'm going to deal with the topic of the evolution of submissive female archetypes in media. These are my personal information, table of content, and let's introduce the archetype mean. What is archetype mean? Archetype is a primordial image, character, or pattern recurring in the literature and thought, embodying universal concept. It was coined by Carl Jung. Archetype signifies a pattern from a collective unconscious, genetically inherited and recurring across generations. Northrop Frye extended archetype to literary context, emphasizing its significance to understanding literature. Archetype Archetypal criticism linked with thinkers like Maud Bodkin and James Hillman, rooted in the Jungian principles. What is the archetypal criticism? Archetype, a universal pattern evoking deep emotional responses in a literature rooted in an unconscious memory. Archetype, original model of portray, prototype shaping similar things, and ideal example. Arc as a prefix signify highest or the most important, as seen in the word like archangel or archbishop. Type representation embodying ideal feature or a symbol of a future occurrence. Also, it derived from Latin typus, indicating an image of impression. Archetype in literature, that recurrent pattern resonating with readers and universally explored through various disciplines. Archetype integral part of human experience studied through the archaeology and anthropology, psychology, history, and religion. Mormonism emphasized the types and shadows as a symbolic representations. Archetype basis of literary analysis revealing profound human connection and universal truths. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the collective unconscious shared by all humans. The collective unconscious hold memories and images from a pre-human racial past. Archetypal images tap into these shared memories, making them powerful and universal. Archetypes are structural components of the collective unconscious containing a large emotional elements. They originated from repeated experiences across generations, residing with the mind and universal thought from. Archetypes manifest in myths, dreams, rituals, and work of art, among other mediums. Numerous archetypes exist in a collective unconscious, including birth, death, power, hero, and more. Let's discuss the concept of submissive female archetypes in the media. Submissive female archetypes in media portrays a woman as a passive, obedient, and lacking agency. These archetypes reinforce traditional gender roles and expectations of women as a subservient to men. Submissive female characters often serve as a love interest and sidekicks to dominant male protagonists. Their storylines typically revolves around their relationship with men rather than their own goals and aspirations. These portrayals perpetuate harmful stereotypes and limit the representation of diverse female experience in media. These archetypes have historical roots and persist across various forms of media. For example, include the damsel in distress, trope in fairy tale like Cinderella and Snow White. In film, the submissive wife archetype is evident in a classical like the Stepford Wives. Television often portrays submissive female characters such as a Betty Draper in Mad Men. Advertising reinforces these archetypes through the depiction of a woman in domestic roles. Video games often feature submissive female characters needing rescue, like Princess Peach in Super Mario. Literature showcased submissive female protagonists like Bella Swan in Twilight. Social media influencers sometimes conform to submissive stereotypes to gain followers. Overall, these archetypes perpetuated harmful stereotypes, and limit to the portrayal of women and with agency and independence. Significance and media's role in gender perception and women's empowerment. Understanding the archetypes helps decipher media portrayals of gender roles. For example, analyzing the damsel in distress archetype in a movies reveals traditional gender norms. Media representation shape societal views on gender roles. For example, advertising often reinforces stereotypes by depicting women as a caregiver and men as a breadwinners. Studying archetypes illuminates social expectation placed on women. For example, examining the femme fatale archetype reveals expectation of women to be seductive and manipulative. Media influences perceptions of women's empowerment. For example, strong female character in TV shows challenges stereotypes and inspire empowerment. Gender role stereotypes perpetuated by media hinder women's equality. For example, portraying women only domestic roles reinforced in the idea that their place in the home, limiting their opportunity. Analyzing the archetypes informs strategies for promoting women's empowerment. For example, recognizing and challenging gender stereotypes in media can lead to campaigns advocating for a gender equality. Media literacy regarding archetypes is crucial for fostering gender equality. For example, educating individuals to critically analyze media representation helps combat harmful stereotypes. Second one is early depiction and stereotypes. Let's see some early examples of submissive female archetypes in literature, films, and other form of media. Jung identified numerous archetypes, including mother, father, child, hero, wise, old man, woman, and more, which blend into each other according to situation. Personalities representing the supernatural power like heroes or gods are crucial archetypes in Jungian psychology linked to the concept of mana. The mother archetype hold a central position, reflect the primal needs for nurturing, not necessarily tied the biological mother. Amina and Aminus represent the feminine and masculine aspects within individual, within the innate urge to integrate them for completeness. When anima and animus merge completely, it's called CZG. CZG, a concept often explored in the spiritual journey. Example of the damsels in a distress. The damsel in distress is a stereotype portrays woman as a helpless, passive, and dependent on the male rescuers, perpetuating gender roles and reinforcing power imbalances. Other examples, like in literature, early examples of submissive female archetypes include characters like Penelope from Homer's Odyssey and Desdemona from Shakespeare's Othello. In the film, the damsel in a distress trope is prominent in the classicals such as King Kong and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In other forms of media, advertisement and magazines articles from the mid-20th century depicted women as obedient housewives, prompting traditional gender roles and domesticity. Third one is contemporary trends and challenges. Recent media representation of submissive female characters reflects a shift towards nuanced portrayals showcasing agency and complexity. Modern depiction often challenge traditional on stereotypes by presenting submissive character as an empowered individual making conscious choices. Cultural movements such as feminism have influenced media to depict submissive traits, part of characters' multifaceted personality rather than defining their entire identity. There's a trend towards subverting or submissive tropes where female characters exhibit strength and assertiveness alongside submissive tendency. The evolution of societal attributes towards gender roles has led to more diverse and authentic representation of submissive female characters, reflecting the complexities of real life experience. Media now frequently explore the internal conflicts and external pressures faced by submissive characters, offering audience a deeper understanding of their motivations and struggle. Contemporary example of submissive female characters from Hindi movies, serials, and advertisement. The first movie is the Kabir Singh, while the film faced backlash for its portrayal of toxic masculinity. The character of Preeti, played by Kiara Advani, is depicted as a submissive love interest to the protagonist. And the second movie, we can say that Padmavat movie is also similar kind of stereotype. Portrayal of stereotype and submissive portrayal of Deepika Padukone in the movie. Third one is Badrinath Ki Dulhania, also including the in this list. Serials is Balika Vadhu. This serial through now concluded depicted the story of Anandi, a child bride who undergoes various struggles but remains submissive to societal expectation. Third one is advertisement. Fairness cream advertisement. Advertisements for fairness creams often portray women as a submissive and lacking confidence until they achieve barrier skin tone, implying that fairness leads to success and confidence. In the conclusion, we can say that media has historically portrayed submissive female archetypes, reinforcing traditional gender roles. Over time, there has been a gradual shift towards more diverse and empowered representations of women. Early portrayals often depicted women as a passive, obedient, and reliant on a male authority. With changing societal attitudes, media begins showcasing assertive, independent female characters. Modern narratives increasingly challenging submissive stereotypes, presenting women as a strong, complex individual. The evolution reflects broader societal changes and ongoing efforts towards gender equality in media representation. Here are my references, and thank you. If you have any question, you can feel free to ask.
So, Harpreet, my question is, what negative stereotype does the damsel in distress archetype perpetuate, particularly concerning the gender roles?
In damsel in distress, the protagonist, the woman damsel is a submissive, played a submissive role. That archetype in the pressure of help, one kind of helplessness. Also, she is dependent. She is highly dependent on her male rescuers on the damsel and in distress. That perpetuating particular concerning the gender roles.
So, Hardi, my question is, how does Deepika Padukone portray the submissive character of Rani Padmavati in the movie Padmavat?
Deepika Padukone has played role on Rani Padmavati in Padmavat with the full with her with full of obedience obedience, love, respect, and totally dependency on towards her husband. That's why she also portrays as a submissive character of the movie. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Maya Bhatia. Today's my topic of IA research as a critic. This is my personal information. Introduction. Full name: Aware Armstrong Richards. Born 26 February 1893. He was died 7 September 1979. Cambridge in age of 86. Movement and style: new criticism. Subjects of study: literary criticism. He was an English critic, poet, and teacher who was highly influential in developing a new way of reading poetry that led to the new criticism and that also included some forms of reader response criticism. As the critic works, The Foundation of Aesthetic, published in 1922. Second, The Meaning of Meaning, published in 1923. Third, Principle of Literary Criticism, published in 1924. Fourth, Practical Criticism, published in 1929. Last, Coleridge on Imagination, published in 1934. The intent and tone of I.A. Richards. I.A. Richards' labors with words have had a large measure of practical intent. The final scope of this practical intent has been nothing less than the complete width of human relationships. He claims with respect to his interpretation in teaching such work as this has bringing on the life of the world as large. Our purpose, he says again, is identical with that of Plato, to wit, saving society and our souls. If one had not realized the humanitarian impulse working from the beginning in his share of the authorship of meaning. Research is thing in place, and words in place signify things in place. The greatest evil is injustice, things out of place and therefore against one another in a mind, in a nation, and in the world state. I Richards on the art of interpretation. One in our time has written more voluminously than I Richards on the difficulties that confront the interpreter of philosophical and literary text, and technique by the aid of which, once they are fully elaborated, we may attain, in his own words, to level of intelligence in interpretation higher than those it reached. Richard admires that he has succeeded in putting the old art of interpreting text on not only a new but a greatly improved basis. To think of anything is to take it as of a sort. to think of the interpretation of discover as of discovery. New criticism and practical criticism. Research played a crucial role in the development of new criticism, a school of literary criticism that emerged in the early 20th century. He is particularly known for his involvement in the practical criticism movement, where student anonymized responses to poems were analyzed without knowledge of the author or titles. Practical criticism in published 1929 research work. Practical criticism details the methods and finding of the practical criticism movement. By anonymizing responses, research sought to understand the reader's immediately reaction to literature and advocated for a scientific approach to literary analysis. Conclusion. A student of psychology and philosophy along with literary forms, research concluded that poetry performs a therapeutic function by coordinating a variety of human impulses into an aesthetic whole, helping both the writer and the reader maintain their psychologically well-being. He valued a poetry in inclusive that was able to contain the various variety of variant tension and oppositions. This is my references. If you have any question.
Maya, do you know what are the 4 types of meaning as proposed by I. Richards?
Sense, feeling, tone, and intention. The 4 types of meaning as proposed by I. Richards, new practical criticism, and it's the study of judgment. Any else?
My question is, how does the text language create multiple layers of meaning?
New criticism is advocated by I. Richards using of metaphor, symbolize, and allow for interpretation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself Jayashree Khajar. Today I am going to give my presentation on exploring figurative language in Richard's practical criticism. This is my personal information. This is the table of content. So I am going to start with introducing I. Richards. He was born on February 26th in 1893 in Sandbach, Cheshire in England, and died on September 7th, 1979. He wrote, these are his notable works: Practical Criticism, Principles of Literary Criticism, and The Meaning of Meaning. So he was known for his new criticism, and his subject of study was literary criticism and human psyche. I. Richards revolutionized poetry interpretation with close reading, focusing solely on the text to enhance analytical skills. His influence extended to reader response criticism and projects like Basic English for International Understanding. His theoretical works explored psychology, philosophy, and poetry, viewing it as a therapeutic. Richard's legacy embodies a deep understanding of language power in literature. So,
revolutionizing literary analysis of practical criticism. So that practical criticism is a seminal work by I. Richardson published in 1929. It revolutionized literary analysis by introducing a method focused on solely on the text itself, devoid of external influences such as the authorship or a title. Significance. So he emphasized the close reading that everyone should read, and he said that Richard removed titles and author's name from poems to encourage readers to engage deeply with the text. For example, if we have read someone's work, then we have prejudice that he or she writes like that. And we will think that his or her another work will be also like them. So Richard is trying to say that don't focus on the who wrote it or the name of the that literary work, but focus on the text. Then enhanced analytical skills by isolating the text. Readers develop sharper critical faculties, enabling a deeper understanding and interpretation. Like if we are reading for fun, then we don't find something in that literary work or movie or something, anything else. But if we try to read the text deeply, we can find that there is so many things that we can do criticism on it. Then shaped reader response criticism. Richard's approach laid the foundation for reader's response theory, which emphasized the reader's subjective response to literature. Then influence on the new criticism movement. Practical criticism contributed to the rise of new criticism, a prominent literary theory emphasizing close reading and textual analysis. The history of figurative language in historical discourse. Here are some key points that historical accounts contain a deep figurative level of meaning beyond literal description. Figurative languages, for example, metaphor and metonymy and irony is used by historians to construct a narrative meaning. This undermines the distinction between proper history and historicism. All historical representation are shaped by the figurative modes of language employed. Examples of figurative language. Metaphor of life to characterize the Weimar Republic's lifespan. Then metaphor of consumed to suggest the Republic's energies were drained. Then another is that metaphors of shame as a controlling trope, and a metaphor and the irony about beauty versus ugliness of the German characters. Metaphorical use of active verbs to envelop event into a tragic narrative. Figurative language in literature. Figurative language uses words or expressions with meanings beyond their literal interpretation, adding depth and imagery to text. The importance of the figurative language in literature is that enhance understanding and enjoyment of literature. If they don't use figurative language, we don't find that work anymore enjoyable. Then creates a vivid imaginary and evokes emotions. Like by using figurative language, we can imagine something. Like if we are saying that she is beautiful, then we will think that she is beautiful. If they use metaphor and says that she is the sunshine, so we can say that how we can imagine. Then conveys abstract concept in engaging ways. Then allows for creative expression and adds layers of meaning. Then here are some types of figurative figure of the speeches. The first is metaphor, then simile, then personification and imagery. Here I am going to talk about them in detail. So the first one is the metaphor, a literary device comparing two unrelated things by stating one is another, enriching understanding through symbolic association. For example, Richards metaphorically likens literary text to puzzles, implying they require meticulous examination to unravel. He writes, literature, like any other form of human activity, may be regarded as a self-conscious or a purposeful game or as a medium for the exercise of some other faculty. Then another example is that describing reading as an adventure. Richards used to describe reading as an adventure, that we feel thrilled while reading it. Then Richard suggests its dynamic and transformative nature. He states reading is an adventure, a journey into the unknown, where each turn of the page reveals new landscape of thought and emotion. Metaphorical language enhances engagement and understanding, offering vivid imagery to convey complex ideas succinctly, thereby enriching the reader's experience of literary criticism. Then simile. A simile is a figure of speech that compares two unlike things using the words like or as to create a vivid image or convey a specific meaning. For example, her smile was as bright as the morning sun. In this example, the brightness of the person's smile is compared with the brightness of the sun, using the word like as, creating a vivid image of its radiance. Then second is that the night was like a blanket wrapping the city in a darkness. Here the darkness of the night is compared to a blanket using a word like. Then personification. Personification is a literary device where human characteristics are attributed to non-human entities or abstract concepts, giving them a human-like qualities and behaviors. For example, the wind whispered secrets through the trees. As we know that wine doesn't speak, or trees doesn't hear, but here they try to, like, for in this example, the wind is personified by getting attributed to the human characteristics of whispering, enhancing the imagery and creating a sense of intimacy with nature. Then the second is the stars dance playfully in the night sky. Here the stars are personified by being described as a dancing, imbuing them with human-like movement and vitality, adding depth and emotion to the description of the sky. Then imagery. Imagery is a literary device that appeals to the senses, creating a vivid mental pictures of sensory experience through the use of descriptive language. For example, the aroma of freshly baked bread wafted through the air. In this example, imagery is employed to evoke the sense of smell, as readers can imagine the pleasant scent of freshly baked bread filling the air. For example, if we are hungry and someone talks about our favorite food, then we can smell that food even though that food is not in front of us. Then second is the waves crashed against the shore, spraying foam into the air. Here, imagery appeals to the sense of sight and touch, as the readers can visualize the waves crashing and feel the mist of the foam, creating a sensory experience. Then symbolism. Symbolism is a literary device where objects, characters, or actions represent deeper meaning beyond their literal interpretation, often conveying abstract ideas, themes, or emotions. For example, the dove is the symbol of a peace and tranquility. In this example, the dove represents the abstract concept of peace. Then white flag is also concept of a peace. Then the wilting flowers symbolize the decay of hope and happiness. Here, the wilting flower serves as the symbolic representation of a deterioration of a hope and joy, conveying a sense of loss and despair through their visual imagery. Then Richard's argument for symbolism. Richard likely emphasized the importance of symbolism in conveying deeper meaning and enriching the layers of interpretation within a text. He might argue that symbols serve as the powerful tools for writer to imbue their works with a complexity of noise, allowing readers to engage with themes and ideas on multiple levels. Then for imagery, in discussing imagery, Richard likely underscores its role in evoking sensory experience and creating vivid mental images for mental pictures for readers. He might argue that imagery enhances the emotional impact of a text by immersing readers in richly detailed landscapes and scenes. Then personification. Richards may highlight the significance of personification in animating non-human entities or abstract concepts, thereby making them more relatable and accessible to readers. Simile and metaphor. Richards would likely discuss simile and metaphor as indispensable tools for writer to convey complex idea and emotion in a vivid and evocative manner. Influence of figurative language on interpretation, that how it influenced the reading while when the work is use of figurative language. So the first is that enhanced imagery. Figurative language creates vivid mental images, engaging readers and making the next more memorable. Then emotional impact. Figurative language evokes emotions by drawing on familiar experience or feeling, fostering empathy and understanding. Then symbolic meaning. Figurative language employs symbols and allegories to convey deeper layers of meaning, enriching readers' interpretation of the text. Then enhanced understanding by using figurative language and clarifies complex ideas by drawing comparisons between parallels, aiding readers' comprehension. Richard's use of figurative language in practical criticism. So this is how we use use the figurative language in practical criticism. The illustrative examples. Richards uses figurative language to demonstrate literary techniques and devices, providing example of analysis. Then analytical tool. Figurative language aids Richards in dissecting and evaluating literary works, offering insights into themes and character motivations. Engagement with text. Figurative language prompts reader to analyze text from multiple perspectives, fostering deeper engagement and interpretation. And then emotional resonance. Richardson's use of figurative language evokes emotional responses. Application of figurative language in a literary analysis, that how we use so the first is enhanced interpretation, that by using figurative language deepens the analysis by revealing themes, character motivations and symbolic meanings. Then critical lens. Scholar use figurative language to examine how literary device contribute to meaning, providing insightful interpretation beyond surface level readings. Then contextual understanding. Considering the historical, cultural and social context helps grasp the significance of figurative language. In conclusion, I. Richards' profound contributions to literary criticism, particularly exemplified in his seminal work, Practical Criticism, have revolutionized the field through his emphasis on readers' response and a meticulous examination of figurative language. Richards fundamentally altered the way literature is analyzed and comprehended. His insistence on the significance of figurative language underscores its crucial role in shaping interpretation and adding depth to literary text by providing scholars with practical tools for engaging with literature, such as the close reading and detailed analysis of the text. His enduring legacy continues to inspire contemporary literary scholarship, demanding scholars of the transformative power and careful analysis and appreciation of figurative language in understanding the complexities of literature. Through his pioneering efforts, Richards has left an indelible mark on the field of literary criticism, guiding generations of scholars to approach literature with curiosity, insight, and profound appreciation for its intricacies. Here is my references, and thank you. Now, if anyone have a question, you may ask.
Jayashree, my question is, how does I. Richards employ figurative language to enhance analysis and emotional response in literary texts?
So, according to Richards, that by using figurative language in any work, the writer of that work who wants us to, there is a poem about, for example, there is a poem about happiness and flower. But if someone reads, but the reader is sad, and when he or she reads it, and they become sad, so that also does matter. And this is how Richards employs the figurative language. Anyone else?
My question is, what impact did I. Richards' practical criticism has on literary analysis?
So I recharge practical criticism on a literary analysis that when we try to read something with knowing the writer of that work, or then we have, as I said, that we have prejudiced them. For example, if we are listening to someone's song, we don't know about that singer, and we just like that song, and then after some time, if we find out that who sang this and we have prejudice for them, then we will say that now I don't like that song. So it's like that, how this is important that we focus on the text rather than writer of it. This is what I, Richard, tried to implement. Thank you.
Hello, I'm PARMAR, and I'm presenting today Decoding the Tweet, Practical Criticism in the Age of Hashtag. Practical criticism is a way of reading in which we are examining the form and the language of the text, rather than taking it into the consideration of the historical background, culture, or authoritarian any context in that. A specially critic argues that language in practical criticism comprise of words assume the paramount significance in comprehending the essence of work of art. So it is basically a language that creates the meaning. Talking about social media, then social media have an emerging significant role that it shapes the narratives, the participatory behavior, and it also organizes public discussion within the people. And in that case, if we want to examine the social media, so there are some elements like links, mentions, hashtags, audio, video, and language. These all elements contribute in the meaning making process. While talking about especially practical criticism, it focuses upon what the meaning is emerging from the text. So, Manish Goyal, in the epic story of hashtag, highlights the evolution of the hashtag. It was the Christ Messina who invented the hashtag, and the pound sign was used for that. And at first, it was used by IRC network around 1980s, 88s, and then HTML adopted the hashtag, and it turned into the hypertext. So within the click of that hashtag, you reach to the similar kind of post related to that. In 2019, there was an Iranian election protest that was led by this hashtag. And the term hashtag was coined by Stowboy in his blog, hashtag Twitter grouping, in August 26, 2007, right after the establishment of the Twitter handle. Now, this hashtag is now prevalent across every social media platform, including Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms as well. If we're talking about the character limits, then Twitter has the feature that at first when it was invented, there was a character limit of 120 words. So if you want to convey some message, you have to be precise while addressing your message. Now, with the evolution of the Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, there is a possibility of they increase the character limit to 240. So now you have a chance to write more about the specific topic. Now, this also leads to the language constraint idea that if you have a limited language, then you have to convey your message. And in that case, hashtags plays a crucial role that with the hashtag, you are able to convey your message. And nowadays, there is a debate going on that Twitter is thinking about the increasing the character limit within the post. So the question would be there that how the principle of practical criticism, when applied to hashtag analysis, elucidate their role in instigating societal change. So hypothesis could be that with the practical criticism, we can examine the language and the post. And is there any possibility to drive a social change with the hashtag? So I chose hashtags of the field, trending field of the technology. Due to time constraint, I have used 6 hashtags, and I used only one post related to that. So technological trending hashtag I have used. The first is machine learning. So it is a kind of a branch of artificial intelligence that allows computer to learn without any kind of a program. So the first post is by the social media handle Forever, and it also has an emojis as well and the hashtags as well. If you look at the language, then times are changing. The future of dogs is here with machine learning and robotics transforming the capabilities of K9S as we know them today. So there are a usage of multiple hashtags as well. So if we're looking at the language, if you are applying the practical criticism to this post, then it is a kind of having an excited and enthusiastic kind of tone. It talks about the transformation of canines like dogs. Before there is dogs are used in the investigation. Now with the emergence of machine learning, especially canine dog, there would be the change in that. Another thing is there is a full of technical jargon which is used in this post. So that also should be the consideration. And overall, the tone of this post, is optimistic and kind of a futuristic. If you look at the overall meaning, then it talks about the advancement in machine learning and robotics are changing the way which was earlier in the time by the canines. And however, there are a kind of limitation in the social media post while we are applying this because it doesn't elaborate the topic properly. So we cannot rely totally upon this only one post. And we also need a kind of an ethical implication which is connected with that. So overall meaning of this post should be that with they are talking about the futuristic advancement of the technology with this hashtag. Another hashtag is blockchain. So I used the post of a social media handle, Skipper. It was a kind of poetry which is based on the blockchain. So there is a combination of poetry on the social media handle. So if we look at the these lines, then there is a kind of a metaphor which was used like lies the blockchain's promise, the ledger of trust, where crypto traders say. So they are using crypto traders. Then they are talking about each trade, a heartbeat, a risk, a chance. So they are using a technological metaphors to convey the message for the bitcoins and even the digital throne and with the Ethereum queen and Alternix Applenty. So all these kinds of metaphors were used to convey the message of that. So language of this post is like life is a market, time is a currency, and blockchain is a ledger of trust. So all this is a kind of a professional language which is connected with the technology, and it has a touch of poetry in it. Overall tone of this post is like evocative, reflective, and optimistic. And overall meaning of this post can be like it explores the world of cryptocurrency and comparing it to the real life example and digs and trades which is there. So it draws the parallel between that. So there is a kind of interesting thing that on the social media, people are using this kind of a poetry to spread the awareness as well as they are using the poetry. So, and comparing it to the real life comparison. So now it is making it a more interesting kind of a thing. Human emotions and decision making involved in this digital market. So they are also addressing these issues with this post as well. So overall meaning of this post could be that they are spreading the awareness with the use of poetry, and they are kind of futuristic in this term as well. Another hashtag I've used is cybersecurity. Memes are nowadays too much trendy in that case. So this meme, I used the social media handle hacking articles, and it was posted there that when I open terminal in front of the non-IT people, so there is an image you can find that there is a coding language. So will you please listen? I'm not hacker. He is telling that, but non-IT people, like he is the hacker. So there is a kind of humoristic tone because coding is foreign to us. So we are not able to understand the language of coding. In that case, it also talks about the humoristic tone. It also uses the relevant hashtag like InfoSec, cybersecurity tips, and other hashtags to convey the deeper meaning lies in the post. And a humorous reaction of non-IT people to someone using a terminal. The surface meaning is that it points out the non-technical people that they are not aware about that. So it, in a way, it also promoting the awareness about the cyber security as well. And on the other hand, it is a kind of satirical tone on the non-IT people in that case. So it uses humor to spread awareness within the social media handles. Another hashtag is electronic vehicles. I used the Hindi post. So it was by social media handle Khabar Fast, and it uses the words like zamana, chamchamati car, ghoom sake. So it is a kind of a professional language. It also targeting the audience which is interested in electronic vehicles, especially Hindi speaking audience. So by examining this kind of post which is related to a particular language, we can examine that what is their audience. So by examining, applying practical criticism, we also come across to that reality. Overall tone of this post is like a promotional and optimistic. On the other hand, it also highlights the SBI's special loan related to that. So it also having a marketing tone in that. So they are doing marketing of SBI's loan through the electronic vehicles hashtag. So it also highlights that how SBI is intertwined with the public life. So it also highlights the bank and the electronic vehicle and the public as well. Another hashtag is clean tech. Now I have used the Barrett King social media handle. So the overall language is a kind of investors language. These post languages like investing, solution, benefits. All these words are used in a kind of market. Especially they are using this. So its tone is a persuasive and aim to convince reader that you have to invest in clean tech. Clean tech is basically like we have to use that technology that not harm the environment. So they are promoting that. The outcome of clean energy and highlighting the cost reduction and reliability. So they are not just only talking about the usage of clean tech, but they are also highlighting that it has an potential investor. You can do the investing at that. You can earn money. So connecting money with the promotion that reaches to the higher audience in that case. So overall meaning of this post is like that they are promoting the clean tech kind of a technology which is prevailing in nowadays. The last hashtag is #. This post I have used by the social media handle RAID, and it promotes the EdTech connection of education with the technology. The post is very concise and effectively conveys the core message within limited character space. The tone is assertive and informative. So it emphasizes the AIDA model and virtual escape room, especially escape room for the learners. So that learner can go and the escape room and where they can learn rather than going and doing time consuming things like watching this. They are going in escape room and learning new things with entertaining way. So they are promoting a kind of an education technology which can be interesting for the learners to be there. So it increases the student engagement and motivation and raises awareness about the challenges of demotivation and distance learning within that. Hashtag activism, most importantly, it spread it across with the Black Lives Matter hashtag, and it was like a campaign, and people were collectively come together and raises the awareness and addresses the issue. So with this technical hashtags, we examining the awareness they are trying to spread and what the promotional tone and all. But we can address for further issues like raising human rights abuse, justice for victims, fundraising, opposition against government policies, and political campaign. All these kind of things can be addressed by the hashtag. If we talk about the last decade, then hashtag turned into be the very kind of an tool through which people are engaging with each other. So it drives the socio-political change across the world via social media. So the conclusion would be that hashtag conversation on social media can be confusing to know what's real and what's just a noise. So while we are doing the practical criticism, there is a chance that we can not examine only one post and convey the meaning, but we have to refer to multiple social media handles for examining the one even hashtag like that. So there is a limitation in that. Social media like Twitter offers a new platform for literary criticism, and as nowadays social media is a new kind of a media and a new kind of a literature where people are time and again posting their views. So examining that views through the lens of practical criticism, we come across to the deeper understanding of human behavior. What are their views? How they react against whatever the prevailing hashtags are there, whatever the prevailing social kind of accident or changings are happening in that. So we can understand the deeper message within that while examining the hashtags through the practical criticism. Hashtag can democratize criticism and introduce a new perspective, but there is a limitation in while doing the criticism of that, because it has a very short span, so we cannot rely upon that post for within the limited character. So yes, practical criticism helps to evaluate the hashtag, and hashtag has an ability to drive a social change within the society. These are my references, and thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
So Dhatri, as you talk about use of hashtags in nowadays, can you tell me that what challenges arise from the widespread use of hashtags in practical criticism today?
Practical criticism is a kind of a way to read the post. There is other ways like a social media discourse, and we can do the close readings and other technique to apply to the hashtag, like the social media post, to examine this. Now talking about the hashtag especially, then there is a challenge, like especially in Twitter, they are every day sending 30 trending topics in hashtags, and whether your content is similar to that hashtag or not, people are using that hashtag to spread their posts. Now this raises the questions that how we can rely upon the hashtag. So this could be the challenge for them. Another thing is that people misuse the hashtags, like what in case of sometimes in the case of Me Too, I think hashtag Me Too, there was spreading awareness about that, whether under that hashtag Me Too, some incident was also announced that some was misused that Me Too, some of the women. So I'm not focusing upon the very majority of that, but some of the incident was there. So there can be the misuse of the hashtag in that case. So that could be the challenge for that. And another is a kind of a mob. So people are what kind of hashtags they are promoting. That also the challenge, that if you are using hashtag to spreading awareness, addressing the issues, then it is okay. But if you are doing something that can leads to people, mislead people especially, then it would be the question. So that would be also the challenge in that case. But the practical criticism is the way of reading the social media post. So that can be a kind of a theory that we are using to read the hashtags.
Dhatri, my question is, what are the parallels between the evolution of hashtags and the evolution of literary genres, and how might this inform our approach to practical criticism?
Okay, so evolution of hashtag was happened in after the 1990s. So it is kind of it is a kind of infant in that case. So, and literary genre is evolving in that. While talking about particular literary theory, then after the late 19th century and from the 20th century, there is emergence of theory who focuses upon the readers, focuses upon the audience in that case. So, in that case, the hashtags is a kind of thing that the evolution of hashtag happened, and it also make a room for audience to share their views and connected with the people who share the similar kind of hashtags with that. So it has a kind of an connectivity with that. And while we're talking about the literary genres, then social media is a kind of a new media, as I've talked, that nowadays people are using that as a media, and they are giving their view. So while doing the practical criticism of the social media, we come across the behavioral pattern, the deeper meaning related to that, and kind of examine the usage of language and that. So how the evolution of language also happened with that. So with the practical criticism, we can also learn that how the evolution of language has happened, what kind of abbreviation people are using, what kind of words are eliminated from the language, and what are new words that introduced to the language. So that can be possible with the practical criticism. Thank you so much.
Okay, a very quick feedback is late also. The students might find it difficult to explain. Few things, general observation that theory criticism, few apply, or gradually, then only things become very clear that you understood the concept or not. Many of you presented the content, core content only, like Rasa theory. What are the things, Kavita or Nanda, Vishwa, they presented the things as it is. So that is good. Presentation wise, content wise, the slides are to display your understanding also. But once things get applied to something, then we get exact idea that you are able to apply. And if there is a clear understanding, then only the application becomes more clear also. So I would suggest you to refer to this material on our material website also. How it is done. For example, in this in Poetics, we have given one article, Vakrokti as poetic art, a study in Natyashastra. So in that article, you will find that variety of Vakrokti and how those things are used in the quotes. Quotes are given, and then the references are also given. So that can help in seeing that this is how it will be. Then you are applying some part into that also. So that is one example. There is another work, also is a good work, Rasa theory in Shakespearean tragedies, by KHUSHI. Now, if you see the title, then also you get this idea that how things get applied. This Hamlet, for example. There is a subtitle that is known as Jugupsa Intensifying Varuna. Hamlet, Jugupsa Intensifying Varuna. Othello, Uttam Prakriti transformed by Shanka to Adham Prakriti. This is the language which is required when you are making your presentation or when you are connecting the core word. That's why when you study in Gujarati language, you get very near to those Sanskrit words also, which you can use when you read. This is the book where all these Sanskrit words are used in the subtitle. King Lear, from rage, that is Rodra, to redemption, Kant. Macbeth, unfolding Karuna. So this can give that idea that how people are applying Rasa theory into reading of Western literature and what can be done also. Secondly, in archetypal criticism, also many of you applied that on various things. You did that part of applying on various popular films, web series, advertisements, and other things also. Now, in that, what was lacking when you were applying, we come to know that some connection is missing, okay? And that is why I shared this WhatsApp message with you. In the WhatsApp message, I mentioned that in your WhatsApp, you can read that what do archetypal critics do practically. Identifying archetype, this is what most of you have done quite well. First step of identifying archetype, that was quite well done. And analysis of symbolism also was to a greater extent done. Then this explore universal, this is very important. It was still not done very well by everybody. Like how that is connected with universal narratives. That's what Northrop Frye is trying to do. Then, very important one, examine cultural context. Given cultural, how we can examine through that. That was lacking. Then, trace literary influence. That how from one literature to another literature is growing or influence. Then, interpret character development. That interpretation was also something that was lacking. And finally, offer your own interpretation. You offer your own interpretation of those things. So these are the 7 important steps which you do parallel. Then you are doing exactly. By identifying archetypes, also you are doing archetypal criticism. That way also it can be accepted that you have done, but you can reach to offer your own interpretation with the help of cultural background and the track of other literature also. And for this, one of the best examples was this article, which again I have shared the link there, but I found it quite interesting. The way in which this article is written by Shubhangana Atre. Shubhangana is the feminine as archetype. So she is reading feminine, feministic reading into archetypes and starts with this idea of Indian primordial image of Shakti. And from there it goes down to explore the things, how it actually happens. So quite very well, this article, very interesting application of ideas are being done. Quotes are taken in a proper manner, except where it is required to use Carl Jung. Which idea from Carl Jung is useful? Exactly that quote is coming in the article. Darwin is also referred to because we talk about origin of the things. The idea of mother in this female feticide and several subtopics also will also is quite well done. And ultimately, she comes down to many this hidden. This is good point. That some hidden myths you explore in this. So here there is the story of Surya. Sanjana, Chaya, example. And this archetype, how many stories this Chaya is. So even in case of Sita, when there was a fear, so the Chaya of Sita, right? So Ravan is actually only Chaya of Sita. So why that? What is the importance of that story? How what cultural interpretation is possible, which is also being done in this article. So this way, and then finally, it comes down to this point, which is challenging to many of the readers to interpret Shakti in a rather critical manner through architecture. Quite a long article, but very interestingly, all the points are gathered. James Fraser is cited, Golden Bow is cited. Lord Levi-Strauss. Indian archaeology, goddess phenomenon in Indian things. Indian Mata, the idea of this. And as the people are very ready in meaning, right? It is only in India that there is a concept of everything came out of mother or a woman. Nobody, but if you read African myths, you will find there also the same kind of story that there is emergence from feminine as a nice thing. That is the archetype of looking at that. But you need to break this idea that it's not like only Hindu or Indians have these stories. The others don't have this story. It is only the narrow way of looking at those things which are also challenged in this article. So this idea of mother goddess, women's image in the Indian mind, how it is located in that idea after all this discussion. And then this Ofle Hermes observation. The dominant women is dangerous in Hindu mythology. So how it reaches to some observation. And the dominant goddess expresses this danger in several different but closely related ways. And then give some examples also. which people may find it challenging, or people may have problem with that idea also. In the last paragraph, we come down to so many gods in African Greek were female. So now you see that because Hindus have female gods in which they worship, that the idea is blocked by archetypes. So you are giving that meaning and that because you have a goddess, Devi, and women, doesn't mean there was a respect for women. That is how all this discussion comes down to this. Even in Greek also, so Greek women not just in a person, but ideal for women, sex and gender were very different from now. And women from now and then use this asterisk mark to explain this. I would like to maintain as far as the education experience as a social member is considered. Women are still subject to same attitude even today, which was in past also. Remember that in past also the attitude was not good. That continues even today also. But in a more forward manner, now things get reflected, or these stories are used in different manner. And women played almost no role in public life. They were not citizens, so had no direct part in politics. They owned no property, and they belonged to their fathers until marriage, after which they were the property of their husbands. If a woman's father died, she became the property of his next male king. When husband went out at night to attend symposia, personal dinners, a serious conversation, his wife stayed at home. Living company was provided by women brought in expressly, and many other such. So that way we say that how you do this reading of feminine into archetypes and how you find that connection about what is that role also. So this is one good article which can be referred to how it can be applied, application of archetypal things can be done into this reading to reach to something that is challenging. Something that is known and accepted, if I am reading only that and supporting it, then there is no need of doing that research. So archetypes are there only. Very visibly, for example, in Game of Thrones or in Bahubali, it is very visibly located into the archetypes. Without any study, people can say that all characters are archetypal characters. They all come from the very heavy poems of literature. But within that, there is something challenging which can become interesting to get new into that. Then that point becomes interesting to keep the same also. Like there was one point in this Brand's presentation, but it needs to be explored. This was only the links that you might have found from the website. But how brands are connected? There is some new meaning that is added to the brands or the products and commercial products. And then we can say, why do we consider some brand as like this and another brand as the other one? What is that making of the brand that one can say? So the same is in orphan heroes. The orphan heroes are many. How do we read into those things? And in the last one, practical criticism, also application is very important because all about practical things. Even the last one is Bhadra's presentation. Now that again is in one of the slides you mentioned about IRH, practical criticism. But the reading is not like that. It is textual study. So practical criticism tries to remove culture, authorial intention, already out, and do only the verbal study of this. Now, when you do the study of things, you are doing the study of culture, you are doing the study of audience reception, that is there. So, in that way, it becomes opposite to what research wants to do. He wants to narrow down the language of the text, not outside. But it is a platform where lots of people come. There are lots of cultural connections that get societal things, political things get involved into those. So that can become a part of cultural studies are done, but it is a study of society, culture, this and methodology also in that. We have to justify why these aspects are selected. Why? So some logic is required. After top 10, so and so month, so and so year, so you have to select, or there is any other thing. If you see a literature, then you have to go by reading of literature. So are there aspects of literature anywhere people are doing that, and then you pick up some of those keywords, feminism, colonialism, and you explore that what people do, Twitter or feminism or post-colonialism or any gender study, any ideas. Then some logic is randomly pick up any hashtag doesn't mean anything. That there is no methodology also. And also the word that you used was instigate, not instigate but initiate. Instigate means rather negative, which is negatively provoking something. That is what instigate. Initiate means to start some conversation, some new way of looking. That is initiation. That is it. Okay, so the end of today's session. Best wishes for tomorrow.